Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Late Night with Brian Wecht. Today we have the wonderful Jory Griffis back with us, and we spent 2 hours talking about Fallout. Big spoiler warning for basically every Fallout thing ever, so if you want to be unspoiled, especially on season 1 of the show, which you will hear our opinions about, don't do this one. But if you like what you hear, patreon.com/late night, you get video episodes, minisodes. You can get in there ad-free for as low as $2 a month. It's really a steal, and that helps support the show so we can keep doing cool stuff. Hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you do like it, we can do a part 2 where Jory and I subject ourselves to the second season of the Fallout show, which is about New Vegas and desecrating New Vegas. All right, here's the episode. Well, hello, Jory. Welcome back to the show. Everyone, we're going to get it right out of the way. It's Late Night without Brian Wecht, and we're here to talk about Fallout. This is Jory Griffis. Hi.
This feels so wrong!
I know. How are you, Jory? Welcome back to the show. I'm Leighton Gray, by the way. I forgot to say it. I fucked this up.
I'm Jory Griffis. Hi, nice to see you. I am reasonably well. There is the threat of eternal hellfire.
This is a poorly timed episode.
Or it might be ideally timed, depending on the point of view. Leighton, shortly before the call began, you said something to the effect of, and if I may do an impression of you, I'm not going to say the context in which you said this, but you said something to the effect of, "I hate it," and it made me think of. It made me think of Hugo Weaving as Agent Smith from the movie.
That's why you brought up The Matrix. I don't even remember what I said that about. This was like 2 minutes ago.
But it just made me think of the iconic scene from that movie where he's trying to break Morpheus's spirit by basically coming clean to him about his actual feelings about the Matrix and about humanity.
Yeah.
Where he says I can taste it. I can feel your stink. And every time I do, I fear as if I've somehow been infected by it. And I hate to say that something you said and did reminded me of Hugo Weaving's iconic villain turn from that movie. But
I mean, that's kind of great. Nobody's done an impression of me to my face in ages. And if it's going to be Hugo Weaving in The Matrix, I'm all for it.
I think my impression kind of transitioned more into being more of a Hugo impression, but yes.
It was a good one. You got the underbite going, which really sells it.
How do you feel about The Matrix? You just watched it recently, am I mistaken?
I watched it for the first time after 20-some years of cultural osmosis. Great, really fun. I have no complaints.
To the extent that we have talked about it, I think all that was said was, yeah, it's The Matrix, and that's all I heard you say about your take on it.
Yeah, I don't. It's a super fun movie. Watching it, a lot of science fiction and pop culture stuff kind of clicked into place. Oh, okay. Mostly Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah, they got Neo in there. I think the thing that I said about this the last time you and I talked about The Matrix was that it is not my favorite movie, but I, completely not joking, completely not being hyperbolic for the sake of a podcast, I think it is maybe the most perfect movie. I think it is in a sense flawless. And something I really love about the movie is that over time it has gotten better instead of worse, where virtually all movies have some kind of blemish on them where you can be like, yeah, this part didn't age well. I kind of feel like that movie has only gotten richer as politics have changed. I really adore that movie a lot.
Joey Pants, fabulous. Was very
Jesus. I just the other day, just out of nowhere, said aloud to a group of people, I mean, how can he be the one if he's dead? He's so great in that movie. I love him so much.
Yeah, it was funny that my first exposure to him was The Sopranos and not The Matrix, which, or like Bound, which it seems to be for a lot of people.
The Matrix was almost certainly mine.
That's fair. Yeah, I don't know. It's a fun movie, and I'm glad that I watched it. In terms of filling in my cinematic gaps, I need to watch Total Recall. I realize there's a Verhoeven I have not seen.
Total Recall is, I think, it is pretty misogynist. I don't know if that's a giant shock from Paul Verhoeven,
Well,
but
as a misogynist.
parody, satire. It does not represent me as a person.
Jory, I unironically adore Showgirls. I think I'll be fine with Total Recall.
Legit. No, I wasn't warning you. I think you're gonna love it.
Okay.
But that was me trying to express a reservation about my previous statement about The Matrix, that it is virtually a perfect film, because I think Total Recall is virtually a perfect film. I think it is
Okay.
also, I don't know if you've had it characterized this way to you. I think Total Recall is the absolute apotheosis of practical effects. I think for practical and pre CGI optical effects, it is just as good as it could possibly be. It's
That
fucking
makes me
awesome.
very excited.
It's great.
Well, that's fun. Speaking of movies, the other day while I was contemplating recording this episode with you, in which we will discuss Fallout the franchise and Fallout the show, I
The
was thinking
nature of trite and frustrating dialogue.
trite and frustrating dialogue. I was like, I'm going to do it. I'm finally going to do it. Tell me more. My Dinner with Andre. That's a perfect movie.
I love that
Um,
movie very much.
and as I told Jory audience, seeing Andre, I was like, that's Parker Nest from the game Homebody.
It's literally just him, 1-to-1, right down to the forest green
The
cardigan.
fucking cardigan. So that was very jarring for me. But what
Sorry.
did basically most of this conversation is going to be a rehash of conversations you and I have had over the years, but
I
for
feel
the
great about
benefit
that.
of the audience. Yeah, because I love doing it. Um, but the movie does have a reputation as being pretentious. And disagree fundamentally. And I think you have to willfully ignore everything that happens in that movie to come away with that impression. And also slots neatly into the depiction does not equal endorsement thing. Like, you watch two characters who are varying degrees of pretentious have a sincere conversation, and your takeaway is that the movie is pretentious.
Oh, you are a fool. I understand.
Yeah,
No,
and
and
it's like,
I
if that movie is not to somebody's taste or not in their lane, I get it. It's two guys talking for 2 hours, and the first hour is only one of the guys talking. Like, whatever.
yeah. No, and
But
I hope it's clear from context. I'm actually kind of glad that we came into this the way that we did, because I've been talking about The Matrix and Total Recall. Like, yeah, they've got the best fucking explosions, dude. Like, so I hope it's clear I'm not being pretentious when I say this, but like, I think the only way you could watch that movie and come away saying it's pretentious trash is like, you just want it to have more kung fu kicks. I love kung fu kicks. I love
yeah,
martial arts movies. I love wushu and I love Hong Kong cinema so much. That stuff is all great. But just like, yeah,
it's
it's a
and as I was spamming you with negative reviews of it that were pissing me off, because that's all I do lately is intentionally piss
mm-hmm,
myself off, because that's the only
mm-hmm.
time I have any energy. It just being like, oh, this is the good thing these guys don't have a podcast. It's just two guys talking. Like, am I supposed to like Andre? It's like distilling that movie to like a one line letterboxed clip, which I did personally, but in a dismissive fashion. Did you just ignore everything that they said in the movie in a movie that is literally about that thing that you just did? This
Yeah.
very life affirming movie.
Yeah. No, I mean, I something I truly love about the movie is like, you spend so much time thinking Andre seems like an unbearable prick, and there is no clean transition point. There's no point where it's suddenly like, oh, this guy actually has a good head on his shoulders. It's just over the course of 2 hours, exactly the way it happens to Wally. You go from thinking that he's a pompous asshole into feeling like he actually has some points about reality and the way that we live our lives. And I think it's so easy to miss that Wally himself, it's actually, no, it's not easy to miss this, but we're talking about a straw man who would, right?
Right.
That like, Wally is himself such an unbearably unreliable narrator. The opening sequence, he is just the biggest, most pretentious asshole. It's so fucking good.
Yeah, now I'm 36 and all I think about is money.
It's so
But like,
right.
your idea of the movie being pretentious, shouldn't it be dispelled in the first like 2 minutes of the movie?
I strongly
Also,
think so.
nice to see a movie on a New York subway that is realistically covered in graffiti. Because having
Yeah.
watched The Taking of Pelham 123 recently, and I know that famously the transit system wouldn't let them use one covered in graffiti, which honestly would have improved that movie.
I love The Taking of Pelham 123, but I do think it that movie would be helped massively by having some verite that it doesn't have at all.
Yeah,
That movie is so hammy.
it is.
Except, have we've
True.
talked about the ending of that movie, right? I feel like we talked about it after we watched Mikey and Nikki, maybe. That
Oh, yeah. Maybe a long time ago because I'd seen that ending before anything else. I
the
almost, is it in the story of film?
oh, it might be. Maybe that's where I first saw it. I don't know.
It would have, because
Uh,
that is like a deep, this is a bubble,
yeah.
the shock of the new.
Which really, there's nothing new about that movie, but I kind of love that about
No.
it.
What were you going
Just
to say about the
that,
ending though?
just that it's like an R-rated thriller, and it ends with a late middle-aged man going, being a little stinker. It's so fucking funny.
That's honestly how I feel every time like a maintenance person comes to my apartment. I am filled with anxiety the entire time. At the moment they shut their door, I'm afraid that they're going to hear me do something and then open it and do that face at me.
Yeah, it's complete imposter syndrome, complete just total intrusive thought paranoia, and yet the entire time I'm like, I hope they don't find out about all them murders I done.
Yeah, they're under the floorboards.
Killed them all, of course. I feel like I did a Robert Durst impression the last time I was on the show. Like,
you did, but you should. I'm a big enjoyer of the jinx, of course. I also watched To Live and Die in LA for the first time.
I still haven't seen that one. Like a total fucking fraud. I have seen Shamefully Little Friedkin.
It's good. It kind of like doesn't come together for me. I do really love Baby Defoe, William Peterson playing the exact same character as Manhunter, except what if he was the biggest piece of shit ever?
That's interesting.
Which I like. And then the car chase. The car chase is incredible, but Friedkin is so good at car chases. Even Jade, an awful movie, has honestly, I like the car chase in Jade better than the one in To Live and Die in LA. Just because every time he does it, it just looks so fucking illegal.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, I assume it just
who let you do
was,
this?
right?
Yeah, and then have you seen Sorcerer? Have we talked about Sorcerer?
Yeah, where you visibly see the entire four like main leads of that movie almost die like 10 times across that film.
Yeah, it rules.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So anyway, my Dinner with Andre is a very human movie with two characters who are interested in each other and have there's no plot move forward. They're not like, we have to go get this thing to go to this place and then take it to another place, but somebody else took it. Nothing happens, and yet there is a massive emotional shift between the characters that leave you coming away from the movie with a new perspective on life.
That's interesting.
And
Yeah,
interrogating your own perspectives on the world.
Yeah, and it does all of it without unbelievably obvious quotidian patronizing formula.
My favorite part of My Dinner with Andre is when there is a big obvious needle drop at the end.
I mean, honestly, it kind of is. I had that ringtone for a while, didn't you?
Oh my god, really?
Yeah. Bum 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 bum.
Precious. Yeah, so let's talk about what this conversation is and what it isn't, because
let's get into it. I'm
wow.
doing a visual
You're
bit
doing
for
a
the
visual
video
bit
on Patreon
with your expensive Fallout merchandise.
With this gag that weighs like 8 pounds. Oh no. I'm trying to we were saying this before the call that like we need to prove our bona fides as fans of the thing we're about to talk about in order to make it not seem like we're just a couple of miserly old fucks.
Yeah, people who are not on the Patreon video, please note that I am currently wearing a Fallout sweater, next to my Pip-Boy, a Quantum Nuka-Cola lamp, a bunch of bottle caps, and a box of sugar bombs. I'm here.
I've got my I've
If
got
you listen to this show, I never shut up about this shit, okay?
I've got my licensed Nuka-Cola bottle cap and my screen-used Sunset Sarsaparilla bottle cap from the Amazon TV series Fallout. I've got my merch. We're trying.
We're trying. Anyway, so I think that as somebody whose YouTube algorithm is mainly 3-hour video essays about how much Bethesda sucks, and I have watched all of them multiple times, I go back to Starfield videos, the only game I've ever refunded on Steam.
I want to put a pin in this conversation right there and just say, okay, I'm an Emil apologist, if only because I hate to see anybody getting dogpiled that bad just for doing their job when they seem like they're actually kind of a nice person who really means well. I think Emil Pagliarolo kind of seems like, well, he likes what he does. He loves the company. He loves the Elder Scrolls. He's working hard.
I feel that way about Todd. I think he's very memeable. But also I've been thinking about this a lot in the context of this show and in watching criticism of the games and in thinking about it, where people say, you see this over and over. We've been accused of this. The devs are lazy and they don't care about this, blah, 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 blah. There are so many levels to development, especially as somebody who's worked in corporate America on creative IP for many years now. You have so many levels of people above you, and depending on the company, you are completely at the whims of the people at the top, no matter how much you try. And trying to push through the creative vision that you want makes your life harder. It's like, am I going to die on this hill? Because this is going to be a hill of 20 emails for this one thing, and I get paid the same either way. So I think that just kind of the broad brush strokes, like the devs, blah, 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 and same as we'll talk about the Fallout show. It's like, here are a bunch of really talented people who have worked really hard to make this thing that is fundamentally misguided. And it's a lot of really positive, generative, creative work in service. And this is part of why it's so frustrating.
Yeah. I also think at a certain level, it's like, as a creative enterprise, it feels very misguided to me, but also as a commercial enterprise, it seems like it's been a relatively significant success. And so I'm like, well, I guess I don't know how misguided it is. It's working, right?
Yes.
That's always so tough.
Yeah. And so I don't want this conversation to be a rehash of all of the most annoying Fallout New Vegas diehards, of which I am one. I am an annoying Redditor at heart, so I do share a lot of these quibbles, but I don't want to be like, they nuked Shady Sands, and the kid doesn't survive, and a ghoul doesn't survive in a fridge. That I'm not interested in. I think that making video game adaptations is particularly hard, and on a certain degree, I think they did the best they possibly could. I can't imagine a product that would have a better endpoint than it does. I think the writers had an impossible job, and there was no world in which they could have really landed this. And to be clear to most of the audience, they have. So I'm just going to couch all this. I'm going to say a bunch of unkind things about this show, and I'm going to be very vitriolic about this shit and strong. So if you're listening to this and you loved the show or whatever, and you don't like hearing people shit on a thing that you like, skip this one, because it's not just going to be all negatives for me, but also just to not retread these same things. I would like to discuss it within the greater context of the franchise, and why, for me specifically, a diehard annoying Fallout fan, why this misses the mark, and how the general trajectory of the series has been losing what I find fundamentally interesting and fun about the series, and how much of the Fallout show personifies the change in creative direction.
Yeah.
And also that it's a bad TV show, that it, on a craft TV show level, it's a bad TV show, and we should ask for, we deserve better from TV.
I think characterizing it as on a craft level might be a little overly broad, just because I do think the production.
Yes, no, I agree. Really that was good. No, there. The acting, fantastic. Casting, production design, props, wardrobe, all of it. I mean, it just looks great, and then is destroyed by lighting, cinematography, editing, music, and writing.
Tough. That's tough.
It's the way that I keep thinking about it is it's like you go to a banquet hall and all of these people have prepared the most sumptuous feast, and there's so much variety and it looks beautiful and delicious, and you can tell they worked so hard and you're so hungry and you're excited to eat it. And then you get closer and you realize that somebody sprinkled rat shit all over the top of it. It's like, well, this was great. Why'd you do that? This was perfect. Why'd you do that? And then everybody else is standing around like, yummy. Like, look, if you guys want to eat rat shit, that's fine. But the people who made this are going to be like, the people really resonated with the rat shit. We should do more of that next time.
I do think that this exact show, without all of the portentous slow motion montages set to extremely obvious needle drops, is like genuinely significantly better in my book.
I wish it was a worse show, is maybe where I stand on it. Like, it would be more forgivable if it was straight up bad, but it's compelling and frustrating because you see a better show in the cut that we have received, you know?
Right. I agree with that. No, and I do think it's a good idea to couch this in the general sense of like the overall franchise. And I even think, having mentioned that Starfield was the only game you've refunded on Steam, I do think that there's kind of an indication there of an overall creative direction thing that I'm so curious to see what happens with the Elder Scrolls 6 and any upcoming Fallout games that might be in development, because I do think Starfield is one of the most, it's so fascinating that you at least can see the scars that are left from the death of 1,000 cuts that led to that product being what it is. But it is very creatively bankrupt in a fascinating way.
But Jory, they had fun. Astronauts had fun when they went to the moon, and there was nothing up there.
Yeah. You saw those, right? We must have talked about those at some point. That like Steam on Steam, they had these poor Bethesda social media people.
That's what I'm quoting. That's like straight up what they said.
It's so agonizing. Just like, yeah, so sometimes going to space is boring as shit. It's accurate.
That's why there's the exact same building on every single planet, and you have quests where you go get a guy to save them, but you don't actually take them. You tell them to go back home, and then you fast travel back to the original place and tell the person. They're like, wow, thanks for bringing him back.
They're good now.
Also, in the many Starfield video essays I've watched, every single time they show like B-roll of the spaceship flying, I'm like, huh! Yeah, it's the most motion sicky thing I've ever seen in a game. So aside from it being terrible, and also it was running like shit on my almost brand new at the time PC, I was like, not $90, baby.
But it looked really impressive, didn't it?
It seemed like it might be impressive. Yeah, I had enough time to create my character and go through the first bit and was like, wait, there's space magic?
I'm being facetious. I was thinking about its art direction versus the art direction. And truly, I'm sure at some stage there was an art director working on Starfield who made the most amazing work. I'm sure there was some absolutely amazing art direction that went into that game. But I was thinking about, there's a much derided Deus Ex sequel from I think 2004 called Deus Ex Invisible War, which was for the original Xbox. And I was thinking about how that game's art direction accomplishes a bunch of the things that Starfield fails to do, and actually looks dramatically better than Starfield in a lot of respects. Just like I could not be more negative about a final product than I am about that game, which is so sad. I'm sad for everybody who spent such a long time on it.
The facial rigging is so uncanny. Like, I hate the way they work in Fallout 4, and I also would like to talk about Fallout 4 on this episode because I think the show and Fallout 4 suffer from the same sickness.
Agreed.
That sickness's name is Bethany Esda. I don't mean that I'm not like a hard hate Bethesda person. I think that it's overblown the way that people assign every sin to them and are like, they just can't, Todd Howard can't handle that Obsidian made a better Fallout game. Like, shut the fuck up. How old are you?
No one's brain works that way. His Skyrim made 400 times the amount of money Fallout New Vegas made. I think Todd Howard is doing great. we're genuinely, I'm so annoyed by talking about like, oh, they're we saying Skyrim again. And it's like, yeah, because it makes them $200 million every time. Why wouldn't they? They should
Yeah.
keep re-releasing it forever. It's a great game. People love it.
Yeah, I love it. People love it. If you don't want to buy it again, don't buy it again.
Yeah.
It so yeah, I I watched the first season of the show after saying for months I'm not going to watch this show because I was playing parallel with our friend Fallout on Steam Deck next to each other like all day until they were like, you got to watch the show. And so we did, and this led to me going out loud, "Oh, brother," multiple times. And like we would end an
Goodness
episode.
gracious me! I've been hit with a wave of the vapors.
And I would like we would go outside and smoke another joint and rant about it. And then I'd be like, we have to watch the next one. I have to know what fucking insane bullshit they are about to pull in this next episode. I can't go to sleep without having known what the fuck are they gonna do.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I say that to say that this was like a month ago and my memory of it is already fuzzy. But rest assured, listener, I have like 3 pages of notes that I made about the overall state of the franchise.
Excellent work. Yeah, I watched the first 2 episodes of the series when it came out. I think maybe close to the day it came out. And I found it not enjoyable, and I felt no draw to continue watching, so I stopped. And then around halfway through the run of season 2, I went back and watched the remainder of season 1. I still have not started season 2. I don't know about you.
Neither have I, and I know that we talked about doing this as a part 1 for this and a part 2 for New Vegas, and I don't know how much I can emotionally this first season is bad enough, but like we're approaching bad territory if you throw me, specifically Leighton Gray, into the New Vegas season, knowing what I already know about it. I don't want to like cause a medical event to happen in my brain. And I don't like being the kind of person who would say that about an episode, about a season of a TV show.
Having said that the production design is really cool, they made like a 7-foot tall Securitron, and you get to see Victor, and it looks pretty cool. It really does look neat.
No, it looks great. When they were shooting and they were showing like the New Vegas that's now overrun by death claws, I thought that it looked, that here we can start with what are things about the show that are good, of which there are many things that are good.
I really do think production design wise, it's very interesting how much of the show does actually seem to be practical. I think a lot of it is marred by post and editing decisions that, give it an overall kind of unpleasant image quality. But I do think that like the costumes are out of this world. I think the sets look so good. I think
the props are incredible. The level of fidelity to in-game models and stuff, even to like a deep cut kind of degree. I mean, the level of craft and attention to detail is immaculate. It looks fucking fantastic.
Yeah, it really does. And I think that oh goodness. I think that like it does have a very strong sense of mise en scène, even if it is a level of fidelity to the version of Fallout that I don't like. I still think that they're doing a fantastic job of placing the show in the world. I really do think it's kind of amazing how much it looks and feels like the games. It's just the games that I don't like.
Yeah, it's just the games that I don't like.
Yeah.
Yes. I think that the acting across the board, pretty great. It's a shame that it is in service of some of the worst writing I've seen in a TV show in the past few years. But like Goggins is great. Ella Purnell is great. Every little bit character is great. Michael Emerson, happy to see him playing a capital A-M-E-C-A Michael Emerson character. A joy. Love seeing
it. I do think like one of the only laughs of the whole season was said by him. And I think it's a good joke that Michael Emerson just crushes because he's so good.
Wait, what was the joke? I don't remember.
Oh, it's when they're talking. I don't remember the exact wording, but they're talking about how he has already taken a cyanide caplet to
Oh
kill
yeah, yeah,
himself,
yeah.
and he says like it's really a very humane way to die. It's wonderful. It tastes like banana. I don't know why it didn't sell better or something like that. But just such a good Michael Emerson line delivery. It was really funny.
Yeah. Spooge's girlfriend from Breaking Bad. I was really excited to see her.
That's true. I think she's good in it.
Yeah. Um, so they're all really good. Moises Arias, he's come a long way from Hannah Montana. I love that he still looks simultaneously 14 and 45.
Is that I don't know who that is. Is that the buddy from the Brotherhood of Steel?
No, it's Lucy's brother.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he so completely has nothing to do other than look perturbed that I have no strong opinion of his performance in the show.
His facial acting got when he's going into the what are the vault numbers of the vault when he's going into the other vault and he's exploring, that was a great tense sequence that him looking terrified really sold. It's the one time that it ever felt like the game's for real when you're going through a vault, which alone, going through a creepy vault, is like some real quintessential good Fallout juice that they already have the sets for. So great that they take advantage of it. And they immediately undercut it with fucking Brain Roomba and
God,
doing bits.
having said that the production design is so great, asterisk on the brain Roomba. I have no idea what happened there. It's so odd. Like
Show me a fucking better Robo Brain, please.
I'm just picturing the staff that had to throw that together. Like they were told it was going to be CG, so they just made this as a placeholder or something like that. And then they ran out of money. I have no idea, but I was like, ooh, they did not want it to look like this. It's wild.
Yeah.
Um, I do think like, and I'm not trying to be defensive when I say this, but like, I think that when it comes to the writing on the show, you said that it was some of the worst writing you've seen on like modern TV. I I think
Hyperbolic.
yeah, but still, it's a podcast. We got to be hyperbolic. I think that not just trying hard to screen myself from that and not be hyperbolic. I think that on thinking about this show while we've been getting ready to do this episode, I think that it is almost impossible for me to evaluate the show's writing because I just feel like it is so profoundly not for me. Like it is that's how I felt after watching the first two episodes of the show when it came out, was that like this there's nothing to attach to. And
This is a great show if you have never played a Fallout game.
uh I think that's probably true, but at the same time, there's a bunch of shit that's making people clap like seals because they're seeing the stuff they like from the Fallout games. I I
Yeah.
I, I think that part of what's tough about it for me is just that having played almost every Fallout game to completion. In fact, I think
And
other
Fallout
than
Tactics is your favorite game?
I did. I mean, I liked Fallout Tactics at the time. Um, Brotherhood of Steel, the PS2 and Xbox game, is the only one that I have never played, which I'm
Pity.
curious about. Um, but I I think that just watching the show, there's something so there's a magical anti-alchemy that happens when you take away the things that make Fallout good and interesting. And so it is a viciously, heartlessly mean-spirited show with no humanity or decency. And it's not in the service of character or satire or even comedy. There's simply nothing left. And yet, and I don't mean this in a condescending way. I'm really trying to understand this when I say this. The show has very good reviews. And so there must be something that I do not understand. And I don't even mean that in like a self-condemning kind of way. I mean it very genuinely, that like there is something far to the left of me and my taste that is working about this show. I
Yeah.
genuinely cannot recognize or identify what it is. And I don't know if that's a difference of opinion. I have no idea. It's fascinating to
I mean, in the same way that people will hear us talking about My Dinner with Andre and be like, ugh,
me.
how could you
Maybe.
enjoy that?
Mhm.
So, there is the people having different perspectives on art is an important thing, but I think you kind of hit the nail on the head with how mean spirited it is. And I think between you and me, we often talk about how my dog's dying, apparently.
Oh no.
Between the two of us, I think we generally are not as put off by mean spirited media as a lot of people seem to
Yeah, we
be.
we talk all the time about wanting stuff meaner.
Yeah, exactly. But there's something about it that it is so craven in this Amazon show because it's like it doesn't take its own characters or its own premise seriously. All of
Yeah.
the comedy is for the sake of the audience. Everything is for the sake of the audience. Everything is a wink and the nudge at the audience. Everything is a joke on the characters in a way that it doesn't take its own story seriously and then expects you to take it seriously. Um,
Yeah.
like the scene where Eye Patch Lady is having what's his face put her dead husband's sweater on and stuff, where I think if that was like cut or musicked differently, it would have a much different tone. But instead, it's like this goofy. It's the thing over and over where it's like you could have just treated this as a moment and let it land instead of undercutting everything every 5 seconds in the most like millennial writing way possible. Like, Jesus Christ, just let
Yeah.
something breathe for a second.
Yeah. I think that like very striking for me was like I think in the finale there's a scene where the Brotherhood is attacking like Moldaver's little base at the Griffin
Yeah.
Observatory, where like they start playing like really maudlin music over footage of like them like killing each other in a big battle. And I genuinely in my brain, I'm just like, you don't get to do this. The show has been nothing but like snarky gore and violence for its entire runtime up to this point. Why are we supposed to
Yeah.
be affected by this? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. It yes. It just it and it's people saying Fallout has always been silly. So you're talking about Fallout 2, right? You're referring to Fallout 2 when you say that Fallout's always been silly because
The TARDIS is in it.
there's Monty Python and the Holy Grail references in it, and the TARDIS and a reference to Wall Street. You mean like every other game that came out in the fucking 90s?
Yeah.
Not that it hasn't always had comedy in it, but just because The Sopranos has moments that are really funny, would you call The Sopranos a fucking comedy? It's not. There's a difference between having jokes because the rest of the thing is so unremittingly dark and it's a nice little breath of fresh air to just have a little moment in this awful landscape as Acolytes of the New God is playing and you're dying and Sulik just died and your fucking dog died and you're there's a difference between that and this fucking show where it's like tee it's Fred Armisen doing a radio thing and he's talking about how you can really hear the mids. Like that moment maybe pissed me off more than anything else in the show.
Boy, maybe you shouldn't watch this season 2.
I might have a conniption. I
I I think that there's something so elementary about anything that at least season 1 of the show is saying or doing with its world and tone and setting that I think it's like it's very easy to make that statement about how Fallout has always been silly. I do think it has always been. Like to me as a kid, I did remember finding them very funny in a way that like did feel it probably itched some parts of my brain that like Monty Python and Douglas Adams hit when I was a child,
yeah.
in the sense of being like kind of archly satirical. I do think it broadly is. A bunch of it was satirical
Definitely.
about things that I didn't fucking understand because I was a child. But I there's none of that in this show, right?
Yes, and if the argument is if the Fallout it's just a funny comedy, where is it funny?
Where are the jokes?
It's constantly trying to do jokes and it is at least with stuff I usually will get a little smile out of things and I was just stone faced. Like it's so much of it reads so first draft to me, especially the characterization of the antagonists in the show, particularly Vault Tech CEOs. This is a whole other rant, but like making them so cartoonishly evil is what you do in the fucking first draft, and then you're like, all right, I'll walk it back a little bit. A lot of the jokes, I shouldn't be sitting here watching my fucking TV able to say out loud every next line in a scene as they're saying it. That's so sad.
I also, like, I don't want to get too far ahead of your notes. Like, it sounds like you have enough of a structure in your
Oh,
notes
I
that maybe
don't.
we should follow it as much as
I
possible.
just wrote down a bunch of different things I wanted to complain about.
More diatribe than notes. I
Manifesto.
uh, I think that if you're thinking about a story about a big nuclear war where a bunch of people died, and there was a company that sold big, nasty, bad bomb shelters in alignment with a big nuclear war where everybody died. The company that sold the bomb shelters also did the bombs is just the absolute first idea.
To win capitalism.
It retroactively made me appreciate every game in the series more for not having done that so explicitly and so obviously. There is in the last episode of season 1, there is a 15-minute long montage where they're slowly revealing that Vault Tech was behind the bombs dropping. Where it was
every time they cut back to Cooper listening in on that conversation, I got even more pissed off of like, just keep us in the room. We know he's going to have a reaction. And then there's tension. And then we cut back to him and see the full strength of Walton Goggins' reaction to this. We know what his reaction's going to be. And then, when she drops the war never changes life.
Oh my
God. I literally paused it and walked away.
It's so agonizing.
It's embarrassing.
I really disliked that quite a bit.
Not to mention, I don't know what they're going to do with it in season 2, but Robert House being in that meeting. And also fucking Sinclair is an emissary of the Big Empty. Also being like, yeah, we'll do experiments on people. Like, maybe this is a broader issue that I have. This goes to the Shady Sands thing, or, the boneyard retconning. These things exist in the games. You're going to reference them in the games, and then you're going to get rid of them. Come up with something else. Just make up a fake capital for the NCR that's not Shady Sands and do that. Like, this is part of why what I know about season 2. It's like, why did you use any of this shit if you're just going to be like, nah, just kidding. None of this is here.
That to me feels like a huge part of the appeal of a project like this one. Is it's like, we have been to like 20 square miles of the United States in the games. Like, there's so much you could do. Just go someplace else. I understand that you want to show us the thing, but don't show us the thing if you're then also going to fuck up the thing. Like, it's such an annoying intersection of like fan service, but also completely botching every part of it. It's so obnoxious.
The kings are ghouls. New Vegas is full of death claws. Caesar's Legion is 2 camps literally right next to each other, and they're fighting.
I mean, you've looked at spoilers for season 2 of the show, right? It's big spoiler for season 2 if anybody is listening to this and doesn't want to know about season 2, but like, it's so fucking wild to me that season 2 is just winding back up to the status quo that Fallout New Vegas begins with. Why on earth would you move that story forward more just to get it back to where it started in no meaningful way? It's so puzzling to me.
If you're going to make shit up, just move it so New Vegas doesn't happen until they get there. Like, would that be so hard if we're just going to disregard everything that's fucking happening?
Yeah.
Like, if we're going to do this to Shady Sands and also it's in the boneyard question mark, just change the timeline around. I mean, it's like the Bethesda perspective of like, it's been 200 years and nobody's moved the fucking skeletons. Like, in the first 2, what's the time difference between 1 and 2?
Wasn't it like 80 years or something like that?
Yeah, well, I think so, because Tandy's still alive.
Yeah. She's probably like 60, 70 or something in the second game. I don't remember.
Yeah. But like, You see Shady Sands go from a tiny, struggling farm community to the closest thing other than like New Reno that is like a city. Like so much stuff happens in that time, including this gets to my greater point. Things about classic Fallout that are great. The environment and existing systems shape characters and culture, and in turn, those characters and culture affect their environment. Bottle caps are the fucking currency in Fallout 1 because in the hub, the water merchants have it's associated with the water merchants who have a monopoly, and so this is considered a backed up legal tender. By Fallout 2, they have real actual fucking money. You don't have caps in that game. You have real gold that they have smelted in Fallout New Vegas. The Legion has its own fucking money. You have NCR dollars with Aradesh on them. East Coast, they bottle caps because it's like a tautology. Fallout has bottle caps because Fallout has bottle caps. This is a minor quibble, but it speaks to the broader thing that pisses me off. I have like an entire page going off of the same thing.
Right. And this isn't really about the show. This is about like more broadly like Fallout 4 onwards. Yeah.
It is now iconography rather than meaning, especially in the show. We have characters who are weird for the sake of being weird / for the audience without influence of the environment. Like the kings are silly in New Vegas, right? But there's a reason that they're the kings because of their misunderstanding of the Elvis School of Impersonation. It's a little bit of a leap, but it's a cute reason for why the kings are there. You have places like Vault City, which, kind of playing with the idea of you trying to get a Gek. Here's a place that actually started with a Gek, and the entire culture within Vault City is that it's become aggressively xenophobic, very, racist, speciesist against ghouls and tribals, and they have an entire slavery system that they paper over and pretend is fine. This arises out of the fact that these were vault dwellers who started this city with a Gek. Of course they're isolationist. It's like the boomers in New Vegas also. Like vault dwellers have a tendency for when they come to the surface, that's what they do. Even in Fallout 3, I think Megaton is a stupid concept and it doesn't make really any sense when you interrogate it, but at least there's at least we've got some children of Adam in there. That makes sense. To a certain degree, the environment shapes the culture around it. Everything that in good Fallouts that's there is because there is problems of living in the post-apocalypse, emphasis on that extra post, as new civilizations and societies are forming. Everything that happens that's interesting is a result of people trying to solve the problems presented by their circumstances and environments. And in 4 and later, it's just like, hey, wouldn't this be weird? Fuck you.
Yeah, no, and I really dislike the writing and quest design of Fallout 3. I was always a lurker. The only, out of all of the communities that I lurked in when I was a child, the only one that I actually posted on was the International House of Mojo, mixandmojo.com, the LucasArts graphic adventure game community. But
that's adorable.
Having lurked on No Mutants Allowed Fallout when I was a child and thinking it was really cool because I love those games so much, which, by the way, that site has now taken a slow and seemingly inevitable turn towards far-right politics and misogyny and homophobia. Yes. But it does feel kind of like the saving grace of Fallout 3 was the premise that Washington, D.C. was probably hit much more actively by nuclear bombs than anywhere else in the country. Like, it felt like a very strong rationale for some of the choices they wanted to make in that game, which I think stink. But it does feel kind of backed up by the fact that, it probably got hit like crazy. I think it broadly works, even though it's stupid.
It's internally consistent, at least.
Yeah.
To a degree.
That's a good way of putting it. And I do
somehow the Enclave return.
Yeah, I know. It's so bad. It's such a bummer.
And then it was egregious there. And then in Fallout 4, they're like, what if we brought Liberty Prime back, though? Sorry, keep going.
Liberty Prime, which is like the most like slack-jawed fucking whack attempt at satire of like American exceptionalism, which also, it's not satire at all. You're supposed to just actually think it's really cool. I'm so
unironically, you're supposed to be like, wow, it's sick.
Yeah. And am I wrong in hearing that and in remembering that like there's some sign that Liberty Prime is at least teased to be showing up in the show soon, or does it actually show up in season 2? I don't remember.
Oh
Uh,
God, no.
it's a bummer. It's
I
a bummer.
don't know. Please don't.
Yeah. Um,
But
but
in three, you're talking about three and no means allowed and whatnot.
yeah, I think that I don't know. There's just like a sense of integrity to even some of the dumbest stuff when it happens in the game, which comes in part because Fallout 1 and 2, even, I mean, when I say this, they are effectively like open world games in like kind of a primitive sense. And
Mhm.
then the fact that the games are of, 3 and 4 and New Vegas going forward, that those games are like these little fragmentary experiences where you tend to get in and out of often inelegant but functional little dialogues with strong characters. Where I have a feeling if you adapt some of those dialogues straight to the screen, a lot of it probably feels about as whack as the show does. But
Fair.
that's the power of adaptation, is you can write those to be scenes between characters with a point. Like, it's so agonizing in the show when some of these things are just so paper thin, right? I've been
Yeah.
thinking a lot about the scene of Lucy and Max going across the bridge, where it's like that ponderously long sequence of them mistrusting the two people who are coming across the
Yeah.
bridge in the opposite direction
To
when
the
they
Herb
turn out.
Alpert track, which additionally, it almost pisses me off more when they use songs that I really, really love. Like, stop. Anyway, continue. Sorry.
um, where that scene, the point that it arrives at is just, it's like something a 12-year-old would think was cool. I think that's something I keep coming back to about the show, is I'm so puzzled by the intended audience when I keep thinking about the fact that, like, I think there's a version of it where I think the bombing of Shady Sands is a really interesting thing to do, especially because there's texts that I could point to where I'm a really big fan of what I would like, kind of in a pedestrian way, I would call maybe anti-fan service, where I
Mhm.
do think that there's something really miserably dark and mean at the core of Shady Sands being destroyed. There's something awful that's wonderful about that. And
Yeah.
then not only is it presented in such a paper thin way, but then the motivation turns out to have been that Hank McLean was mad at his wife. Like, I don't it's just such a like pedestrian childlike motivation. I genuinely don't understand it. It just seems
Yes.
so obviously thin and bad to me.
Also, if it's him and as a larger result, Vault Tech, who are the people who want to make money off of the war, this is the only society that is functioning that could feasibly give you money for goods and services.
How did that
Additionally, like that's House's justification in New Vegas that he's fine with the NCR being there to a certain degree because they're customers. So
and I think that like it exposes this is very literal, this is very pedestrian, I had not thought about this until now, but like that humiliating Vault-Tec board meeting scene, seemingly, I hadn't thought about this, it must be intentionally trying to do Dr. Strangelove, right,
yes,
with this like
it
war
has to be.
table they're at.
Yeah.
And it really is like, that movie's a comedy, that movie's a farcical satire, there's a reason it ends with a fucking pie fight. Like, but there's something so baffling to me about that whole premise that Vault-Tec thought they could make a lot of money by doing this. What the fuck are you talking about? And I'm not saying that on a character level. I'm saying that just on a pure level of audience plausibility. I'm always so annoyed by shit when people make fun of a text by saying like, I've been thinking about it for 14 years, and I think actually the fight between the Trade Federation and the Gungans makes no sense.
Mhm.
Where legitimately watching the show, it's just like, what the fuck are they talking about? What is what?
It's it's the same way that the show is like we're doing a really sharp satire of capitalism, and it's not like you're not even approaching saying anything. You're saying like stock stuff with these cartoonish over the top characters. And the thing is, if we want to look at this series for cartoonish over the top villains, let's take a trip back to Fallout 1 and look at the Master, who has fucking psychic powers and has created an army of mutants. And when you confront him about this at the end of the game, there's pathos there. The game has empathy for the master who genuinely believes that the horrific shit that he's been doing by dunking people in FEV so that the unity can come about, and he controls them psychically, and that's the only way to have a perfect world moving forwards. And if you have the information that super mutants are sterile and you tell him, he sounds genuinely heartbroken.
It's so heartbreaking that he kills himself.
He kills himself. It's a genuinely sad and moving conversation. I mean, additionally with the vocal performance by it's Jim Cummings, right?
Yes, it's the guy who plays fucking Pete in Goof Troop.
So, like, here's a character who should be so ridiculous, so over the top. And I remember reading about Fallout 1 before playing it, and I was like, that sounds dumb. And then you play it because the game has, like, thoughtfully written out this character and this thing that, like, there are ogres in the wasteland. Why? Let's find out. And for super mutants to just decay and be on the East Coast for some reason because they had some extra FUV, even though the master isn't there. But additionally, in like the games afterwards, you have characters like Marcus and Lily. Like, there is horror in these were people, especially vault dwellers. Like the little cinematic of Richard getting dumped in the fucking goo is genuinely horrifying.
Yeah.
And the fact that all of these super mutants that you see, especially the Nightkin, who are schizophrenic from stealth boy abuse, like, there are reasons that they are like that, and a lot of them are very intelligent. Like, Marcus is one of the biggest stone cold chillers in the whole series. That guy rules.
Yeah.
And then by 4, it's just super mutants are big fantasy ogres that you go pew pew and you shoot them.
Yeah, no, I think did you also know that season 2 is also setting up the Enclave to be at least like a big bad for the show, if not the big bad?
Yeah, I saw that.
I just think that, like, there's such like a cripplingly frustrating central irony to the series going back to its own well so many times, when, as you said it's like the whole point is being like post-apocalyptic. It's about time moving forward. And I think, especially when New Vegas exists, especially when the show itself is leaning so hard into New Vegas, where there's something like, I do think the quest with the Enclave remnants in New Vegas is like one of my favorite quests in that whole game, because it's just
the
like,
most compelling they've ever been. Even in 2, I find them a really weak villain, especially with Frank Horrigan, who is cool but makes no fucking sense.
Yeah, and in a way, it's kind of fun that he makes no sense, especially since the master has so much pathos. It's kind of fun that Horrigan doesn't have any.
Yeah, he's just cool, and he has a cool voice, and it's like, your ride's over, Muty. Time to die.
I'm a cool boy.
But the Enclave is already like a weaker villain in 2 than 1 is. They're not that interesting. And then the fact that we keep fucking bringing them back. Yeah. Stop it. They're done.
Well, and even you haven't finished Fallout 3, right?
No, I've never been able to get more than a couple of hours in. I just can't do it.
Its main quest is very, very bad. But that game has Malcolm McDowell as the Enclave president, who like replaced what's his butt from 2 after he died. And in 3, there is like kind of the fun little bit of irony to like the head of the Enclave being a computer, where it's like, yeah, they're just creating a future for nobody that at least feels like an idea at all. The stuff from the show being like, Buds is like a cryogenic freezing program, which is like, we've seen a bunch of bananas shit in this show. Why would cryogenic freezing be something that we're going to be like gobsmacked about? There's that whole reveal that there's this like cryogenic freezer thing where they're keeping Vault-Tec people alive. And there's like the reveal. So listen, the reveal that Kyle MacLachlan killed Ella Purnell's mom, that is very bad on a personal level. And they get there eventually. But there's an entire sequence where everything that you hear is treated as being a horrifying emotional wound. That
when they do the slow-mo of Kyle MacLachlan showing up outside of the board meeting, it's like, if you didn't know this from like episode 2 that he's a bad guy, I can't help you because
What are we? It's crazy.
there are no reveals, and it treats all these reveals like they're crazy. Wow, I wouldn't have guessed. And it goes back to like a thing that's so baffling about her deciding to go out and find her dad is there's that bit when Moldover shows up and she's like, you have to choose between her and them. And like, they don't actually do it. Like, the implication is like they're all gonna fucking die.
Yeah.
And he puts her in the closet, obviously, because the father saves his daughter. How much more interesting would it be if in that moment he was like, nah, fuck my kid?
Yeah, for real.
Wouldn't that give her more reason to be like, what the fuck? Why did my dad do this? I need to go find him and get some answers.
Right. And it's
Because
so chicken shit.
Him doing the noble father thing is instantly like, all right, he's a bad guy. Because that's how the logic of this show works. Every time you think something good's gonna happen, something bad's gonna happen.
It was actually quite wicked and nasty, don't you think? That like it's so humiliating that they finally have him sort of take a turn to being a bad boy at the absolute 11th hour, and the way that they do it is him flying away with a little jetpack. Oh, he's actually sort of a nasty man. Isn't that a shock? It's so fucking whack. It just doesn't work at all.
It's additionally like what I guess it does set up them bringing the Enclave back, but like where's Michael Emerson? What's going on with him? Where's this Enclave lab that's still functioning and they're training dogs?
Yeah, that seems like a huge deal. And no, like when I see that episode when I'm watching the first two, and admittedly, it was like, how long ago did the show come out? I watched that a very long time ago. But like, when I see an Enclave scientist, I'm like, yes, an organization called the Enclave exists. It's not immediately bumping me to involve the Enclave in the story. But if they're genuinely moving it to the point where it's like, the Enclave is about to invade, it's just like, what are you talking about? And I don't mean on a lore level necessarily, although that does bump me very badly. But on a certain level, it's just like, isn't this show supposed to be about like the evils that people do and like the way that being above ground changes people, or whatever you want, whatever the theme of this show is supposed to be as its own text, where it's really like, but also there's a group of people from the past who are very bad and they're coming back now. It's just like, what are we talking about?
Yeah, because there's that Cooper line that's like, it might seem like chaos up here, but actually there's always someone behind the scenes pulling the strings. Like, brother, what are you talking about? I guess that's true in this text, but why is this a Fallout show?
Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense.
I mean, you saying that it ties back into, I think they've forgotten what the original quote "war never changes" means, and they've decided that it just means whatever they want it to mean. Which everyone, I might add that the extension of the quote that makes most sense happens in New Vegas, which is "war never changes, men do by the roads they walk." And like you can see, it's almost like, because like Caesar's Legion in the game, this is another thing, like they humanize the master. I think the game does a really great job not only of humanizing characters who are physically monstrous. The ghouls and the super mutants have like the most heartbreaking stories and they're the coolest people, showing that like you don't have to be traditionally human. You can be changed by the wasteland and still have a lot of humanity, and often regular humans are more ghoulish than the monsters or whatever. But like the games that are good are at least able to articulate the ideology of the antagonist in a way that makes sense. In New Vegas, all of the factions are in dialogue with each other. It's not even picking like who's the best option for the wasteland. It's like which flaws can I live with? And I know that there's a line in season 2 where Lucy's like, oh, well, it's a choice between the ones who are enslaving and killing people and a thing that's vaguely problematic. And that is such like an insulting, flattening way to position the NCR, which it's like, most of New Vegas is directly showing you and having you involved in the fact that the NCR is spread thin in and a deeply flawed form of governance. And you can see why people would be fine with Caesar's Legion, as awful as it is. You talk to Caesar, you get the background, like you can at least understand why he is the way that he is. And I think it does something really interesting in the good games of like what somebody who has knowledge of pre-war, even historically, what that can mean when they use it for their own ends to people who don't know that. I mean, it's like
Yeah,
his misunderstanding of Hegelian dialectics, and I'm not good with my Hegel, so the way he explains it in the game is not right, and I don't remember what the actual right version is, but that feels like such a
sure. I
great
don't.
example of that, because it's like, yeah, here's a person who is enacting this very, very ancient thing just to serve his own means and invoking this. And like you can articulate what the differences between the factions and what the antagonists in Fallout New Vegas are. Like House is saying technocracy, being a technocrat slash me will save us. NCR is like bureaucracy will save us. Legion is we're going to embrace war never changes because that's true. The only thing that will save us is brutality. And then Yes Man is there because this is a video game. um,
But he's got a couple funny little quips and
he's
jokes.
great. I love him. And I've never played anything other than a Yes Man ending. So what am I talking about? Just because
That's
it's the
great.
most fun. But there's cohesion to it. And then you even jump to Fallout 4. Jory, what does the Institute want to do? And does it have any similarity to the exact same motivations multiple antagonists in the series have had, but with that are not elaborated on and that have absolutely no pathos other than the leader of this is your son, I guess, and he's a shithead?
Yeah, I do. I truly love the plot of Fallout 4 for being like the entire thing is like, is robots people and is the prejudice against the synths bad? When the entire story is about how they have been kidnapping and killing people and replacing them with robots. It's like, yeah, that's very bad. I don't know what to tell you. It doesn't make
Join
any
us.
sense.
Be the
It's so
leader of our
wonderful.
Institute. Like,
Yeah.
there's no reason to join them unless you're doing an evil playthrough. And, like, fucking it's a game that is so fully about the synth issue to the point that we have the Brotherhood of Steel who want to eradicate the synths, we have the Railroad who want to free the synths, and then the first major character that you fucking meet and go on a companion quest with is Nick fucking Valentine, who is so evidently more human than every other character, any other companion in the game. Fuck the rest of them. Nick is my boy. He's great. And so, like, this is a question that keeps coming up that you're engaging in throughout the game through dialogue, where you're like, but isn't that, what would that mean for synths? It's like Nick is standing right there. He just said something, and then pulling the like paladin dance is secretly a synth. Like,
I
stop. This
I
sucks
also
so bad.
I think it so completely doesn't work that you meet like 7 or 8 synth characters who appear to have something resembling autonomy and humanity, and you meet an absolute army of them who are mindless killing machines. And when we're talking about freeing the synths, it's like, who the fuck are you talking about? What are you talking about? It doesn't make any sense.
And even if you changed that game where like, because the Railroad feels very like followers of the apocalypse inclined, which I feel like is one of the most unambiguously good factions in the games that are kind of, they're a subtle presence at least.
Yeah.
If you just change the Railroad to followers of the apocalypse in that game, I think it would solve a lot of problems because everything becomes about the fucking synths. And what's the shit that grinds my gears about Piper, that like she's right and you can't tell her, and like she also seems like a crackpot, but she's literally right about the mayor being a robot. I
Something I have done so few of the character driven quests in that game because of how completely inaccessible all of the character writing is in that game. I just I there's so much stuff that I
yes.
simply haven't been able to get into. Like
Yeah.
I meet the character Hancock and I simply turn around and leave. I have no interest in learning more about this paper thin bullshit.
Yeah, it's awesome too because the first time that you meet him, he just like stabs a guy for trying to shake you down. And then if you do that
Yeah.
fucking quest with Bobby No Nose and you have your like non option at the end of the quest where even if you rob him and you kill his buddy Fahrenheit, he's like, yeah, no big deal. Just pay me and all. Can I travel with you? Like,
I also, like, we were talking about like how there's a creative problem and there's like a direction problem. Having said that, I think Emil Pagliarolo seems like he's probably a good head writer. And I think Todd Howard is probably a pretty good game director because they're making extremely successful games that people love the narratives of, even if I do not like the games, their direction, or their narratives, right? Like, that's such a tough
Yeah.
thing to break down. Um, I think that, like, when it comes to a game like that one, I don't know. We've talked about this before, but I sincerely, I'm not trying to be hyperbolic when I say that I think that the sequence where you use the sci-fi machine to go into Kellogg's mind and learn more about him is maybe my least favorite piece of writing in any video game. Where
Yes.
you
And
have,
people love that section.
do they really?
Yes. Yeah, I see people so often bring it up as the best part of the game.
That's bananas. Where truly, in a role playing game, you do not have the choice not to kill Kellogg. And then once he is dead, you use a machine to go into his brain that tells you he was actually a character with a lot of pathos and deserving a lot of empathy. Pretty fucked up that you killed him. And it's just like,
Well,
oh my God,
and
oh my
additionally,
God,
it
it's so
it
painful.
it railroads you into killing him, and if you have Nick with you, and if you tell Kellogg before you kill him, like something about like, I know I'm going to hell, but I hope I see you there, or whatever, you get Nick disliked that.
That's
Meanwhile,
awesome.
hey, what's Nick's companion quest? Getting revenge on a guy who's been a ghoul forever because this guy killed the real Nick Valentine's fiance, and we're just gonna unironically go do that, and he can get his revenge. I saw a YouTube comment that like had a better idea for that, which is so sad that a YouTube comment has a better idea, which is you go find him. He's not a ghoul who's been living in a bunker. He's been feral forever, and instead of killing him out of revenge, Nick essentially mercy kills him. Okay, that's
Yeah,
better.
that makes sense.
But yeah,
And it
just
kind of also points to the fundamental emptiness of Nick as a guy that, like, I feel like the game just like needs so badly to resolve the fact that the synths ain't people. Like,
yeah,
we can accept them for what they are, which is basically people, but like
yeah.
Nick literally isn't that guy. And it's so interesting to me that the game doesn't seem to engage with that at all. It's so odd.
It's like
I
a semantic thing, and for a series that, as I said before, gives so much humanity to non-human characters, why are synths suddenly an aberration that we
Yeah.
shouldn't treat as people? Like, in the Brotherhood, okay, I'll say something positive about the show. I really like the Brotherhood of Steel in the show, going back to the original Canticle for Leibowitz inspired, as it was in 1 and 2, monastic order stuff. I like that it feels more spiritual, more mystical, and I'll even say the shit that people point out of being cringe when Maximus and Lucy are talking about sex and he's talking about it in a really like bumbling way.
I
That's
like that scene.
it's cringe, but it's an example of what I'm complaining about, which is it makes sense. These two characters, different weird perspectives on sex. Lucy grew up in a
Yeah.
vault where they need to procreate to survive, and it's going to be a small incestuous pool, so they're sexually open. The Brotherhood of Steel is a monastic order. They're celibate or whatever. So, of course, this dude doesn't know how sex works. That's honestly great. I like it. Are the lines good? No. But here are two characters formed by their environment having an interaction that's informed by the way that they are as characters and not
Right.
just saying lines for the benefit of the audience.
I
And Maximus is my favorite character. I hate the Brotherhood of Steel. They're the least interesting part of the Fallout games to me, but Maximus is great.
I also, when every scene in the show involving the Brotherhood is them tearing themselves apart, I'm trying not to have this be about lore. It's very hard for me to separate myself from that,
Mhm.
but very genuinely, I think I really, really hate the depiction of the Brotherhood in the show. It drives me absolutely fucking crazy. I'm trying to be as
Fair.
positive as possible about this show, and I can't do it. But I it's so self-evident that this order would fall apart in like an hour.
Yeah.
Like, it's just I'm driven so crazy that they have even more gigantic airships like the one we saw in 4, because it's like,
That
how do they have any resources at all? They should be completely in flames. Nothing about it makes any sense.
And to be clear, what's so historically uninteresting to me about them in the games continues into the show. I like the spiritual side of it, and it kind of ends there because the ooh look cool, the like the moment in Fallout 4 where you come out of killing Kellogg and there's the fucking Pridwin or whatever, and it's like this is the biggest miscalculation. And then also the fact that they never fixed the vertebrates having the same amount of health as human characters, so they all die and crash instantly the moment you see one.
It's so fucking good. That's one of the only great things about Fallout 4.
The rules like, ooh, free power armor, which doesn't really matter to me because they give it to you in the first 10 minutes of the game so you can kill a
Yeah,
deathbot.
it's truly
Um,
strange. But no, I that's same thing that I said about the Enclave when it comes to it's so funny that they are so fixated on New Vegas. They know it's everybody's favorite. It's probably their favorite. They've played it and they love it, and that's why they want to make a show about it. But the show already had the most interesting possible take on the Brotherhood. They don't exist no more. Veronica barely fits in with them, and
yeah.
she's one of the most likable characters in the game. And
Yeah.
basically every storyline with them in that game involves the fact that they are about to explode and die. And
Yes.
so why on earth would there be like 4 miles away a gigantic airship with a million guys? All that shit drives me so fucking crazy. We have to assume that, like, right, because doesn't Fallout 4 establish that what's his butt, who's like the original, like the originator of the Brotherhood of Steel, it's one of
Oh,
his descendants that's going out
yeah,
there?
Elder Maxon.
Yeah, yeah. Like, so it's them coming here from the east, and that's what has happened in the time since New Vegas took place. But it's just like I understand that they're very fixated on the whole war never changes thing, but it really is like, what is rich about the same guys coming? It's just the most tedious, childlike thing to be like,
It's
yeah,
it's
the same guys are coming back.
the cap of New Vegas on the Brotherhood of Steel storyline, essentially with Veronica's companion quest and like Elder McNamara. And it's like everyone knows that this is falling apart because their leadership sucks and they refuse to engage in the outside world and the isolationist and tendencies and them demanding control of technology. It's not working out for them, and that having this ignominious end for them in New Vegas, essentially, depending on what you do, especially with Veronica leaving, it that feels like a fitting end for them because they're already like on their last legs in two or whatever. Like
Yeah.
which
No, and
which
I,
one did
I
they send you the glow in two? Is like a hazing thing? I forget.
I think so. Yeah, I actually don't remember for sure.
They've
Um,
never been super interesting to me, so when I say that I like it in the show, it's because it is just barely clearing the games.
yeah, I do think that, like,
The power armor looks like fucking shit though. It looks good when it's still, but when it's moving it looks so cheap and bad, and I don't know why they keep insisting on
yeah,
showing it in slow motion shots where it looks the worst.
that's really tough. Yeah, I do think that, like, we've talked about this before, but for the audience, like, Fallout 3, the depiction of the Brotherhood is like shocking. It's so childlike to be just like, here's these really cool guys, full stop. That is all that game has to say about them. They're great and very cool. That end. Where even in the Elder Scrolls games, there's never anything that's that morally unambiguous. Like, and those games are very simplistic in a way that I kind of love. But like
Yeah.
the Brotherhood in that game stinks so bad, and they obviously understood that, and so they went to course correct. And I do think that it's fairly smart to make them in 4 into like xenophobic assholes. I think
Yeah.
there's a clear attempt at correction there, but I really, 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 I'm doubling back on the same point that I already made, but just like, how could they possibly be that xenophobic and insane and continue to exist? Because it's like, I do think that, like, the actual xenophobic insane bigots in our world, who they're the corollary to, they exist because there's so many systems of politeness and power structures and capital that allow them to continue to exist and still be supported and still be isolated from the people that they hate in all the ways that they do in the real world, where it's like, in the context of the game, they're done. Like, they have just like the slightest problems and divisions within themselves and they kill each other. which literally happens in the show. I'm not even talking about that in like a metaphorical sense. You see it happen a bunch in the show, that they're tearing themselves apart. How do more and more of them keep showing up? It doesn't make any sense.
Because
And
we have to have power armor. The power armor is on the cover of all the games, so we have to keep having the power armor. God forbid we give the power armor to literally any other new faction. Just remember the Brotherhood of Steel.
yeah, it
Remember the
is really
Enclave.
cool. Yeah, it
Pretty
is really
cool, huh?
cool. Yeah.
And additionally, with them making it like Vault-Tec dropping the bombs when like I'm about to say a thing about a DLC for a game that I haven't played, but like Operation Anchorage seems like it sucks, but at least it's like, here's some of the military history leading up to why the bombs were dropped, which, you know, the game isn't too interested in getting into why. It's like there were resource wars, maybe China dropped them first, but it was a total nuclear exchange, bing bang boom. But the power armor was for the military. So like, is there more power? Are there other people who will use power armor? Like, what exactly is power armor training, which is just like a game mechanism, so you can't just like immediately hop into power armor and use it. It's
Yeah. No, that's extremely tough. I think also, I mean, this is a very pedestrian and literal transition off of what you were saying, but I, again, that thing of like, yes, it needs to be stagey. The show needs to happen in this way, otherwise the show don't exist. But I was just like absolutely enamored with the scene where the ghoul shows up in front of like 18 Brotherhood guys and is like, yeah, that there armor you got there, that's pretty cool armor you got there. But let me tell you something. There's a bit of a weakness, and let me slowly unwind what that weakness is. You see, if I shoot you in this exact spot, hypothetically, if I were to use my gun to shoot you, you would pass away. And it's like in those types of moments, it really is like it's so pedestrian and so boring to be like they would use their guns to shoot him to death. But truly, like, what is this show about if these guys aren't using their guns to shoot him to death? It's like, shouldn't
Jory,
that.
ghouls are invincible and they can take drugs. That for some reason there's a drug trade for anti-feral ghouls.
Which, like,
syringes that he's
that
addicted to.
that's like one of those adaptation things where it's like it's annoying, but it doesn't bump me that bad because it's like, yeah, it gives him a problem. It gives all the ghouls a problem, and it gives them like a source of pathos. It's like it's not the worst thing ever, even though it's dumb.
Yeah.
But just like, I don't know.
I have bigger issues with his character than that.
Yeah. And I think that the show just has such a broader problem of just like, how seriously are we supposed to take this? How much integrity is it supposed to have? And truly, as we said earlier, we hit this. This is a very hard point to make on a podcast because it's so hard to substantiate. But genuinely, I know you cast a bunch of funny comedic actors in the show, but if it's a comedic satire, even if you want it to be a farce or something like that, why isn't it even the remotest bit funny ever for 1 second? It's so confusing to me.
Farce totally does sound like what it is, but it manages to be utterly humorless.
Yeah.
And I think the show wants you to think Coop is cool so bad. He is such a self-consciously cool character with an insanely overbaked design that, to be clear, the silhouette looks fantastic. The costume is great. The ghoul makeup they did a really good job with, even though ghouls are rotting and you've made him a smooth skin, which is what ghouls call regular people. He's smooth as hell, and you've removed the greatest thing about Walton Goggins, which is seeing his fucking face move.
Yeah, the greatest special effect of all, the human face.
Thank you. I was trying to think of that exact quote. All of this, and then it's just, I don't give a shit about this guy. This is a latent bait character, and every time he's on screen, I want him to go away. And I like want to like him so bad, and the laziness of the like, I was an actor before, and I don't feel comfortable shooting this guy, even though it's fake. Like, this is so boring. Why are we like this? And additionally, going back to the writing being terrible, the 2020 is like, okay, look, I get it. This is a show that's coming out in the 2020s. We need to have dialogue that makes sense. to people who are watching the show, because we can't necessarily invent the way that language would have degraded over time, but you cannot put these insane, like, deeply late 2010s, 2020s turns of phrase in this. Like when Cooper's like, I do this shit for the love of the game. Like, shut up. You can't have him say that. Same with, what was the other one that got me like really fucking bad? Oh, thou shalt get sidetracked by bullshit every time. Like,
Yeah,
don't call attention to the
it's
fact that
like
this is a video game. Stop being cute.
it's tough, I see what they're going for. That's another one of those ones where I really, really strongly dislike that, but I also see how it is simply for another person than me.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
I really don't like it, but I see what they're doing. I
Yes, and all of my criticisms are couched in that also, but it's a podcast and nobody would listen
no, no,
to it
no.
if I was like,
I
yeah,
don't.
it's fine, it's not for me.
Yeah, I'm not trying to cut you off by saying that, but no, I seem to remember at some point, doesn't somebody at some point say something like, I don't want to be that guy? And like I think
Yeah.
they say it in one of the flashbacks, not even in the present of the show, where it really is like, I mean, I guess maybe by the 2070s they just developed a lot of terminology that paralleled the way millennials talk.
Yeah, because it's those things are used as substitutes for jokes, and they're not jokes.
Yeah.
And they're played as
Yeah.
if they're jokes, and it's not
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah. I do
And
think the only scenes that I ever find charming in the whole show are the scenes between Ella Purnell and Aaron Moten, who I think are both very good, and then the
yeah,
scenes between Aaron Moten and Johnny Pemberton, who I think out of all of the very funny people they cast in this show, I think Johnny Pemberton is the only one who gets anything that's even the remotest bit funny to do. Like I do think that Thaddeus is pretty cute and likable for the most part. It's like they got one relatively cute and likable guy in there, and it's just because he and Maximus both have like a bunch of like pathetic puppy dog energy that when they
yeah,
I think that there's something very fun about the dynamic of Maximus lying and saying that he's a knight, so that these two
yeah,
dummies who both have that pathetic preening puppy dog energy are bouncing off of each other, so it's just nothing but that energy. I think that's like
yeah,
one of the only character choices in the show that I thought felt even a little bit inspired. And then they fuck it up, and the way that they interact
yeah,
with each other, and the way that Maximus tells him that he's actually not a knight, and then they immediately have like complete like am I remembering it correctly that the way that the scene plays out is that the instant Maximus tells him the truth, Thaddeus doesn't take it well. Maximus is like, I knew I was wrong to trust you, and tries to kill him. It's just like, what? Why on earth would this take this turn? None of this makes any sense. How
I forget, because I think Thaddeus doesn't work for me at all. I have no like pre-existing affection for the actor, and I do like the pathetic puppy dog energy between them, but it kind of like you don't get a whole lot of mileage out of that.
No, I
And
don't
I
disagree at all.
I definitely agree that the Maximus and Lucy stuff is nice because you have two people who are sheltered from things in very different ways. Like that's very sweet. And they're both great actors. But it's like the archetypes, because these characters are like ciphers instead of being characters with interiority. Like, and there's so like those first three episodes especially really suffer from like they put too many characters in this. We need to stop jumping around because they've done so much here that it's impossible. And then like when they keep going back to the vault after everybody leaves, it's like I don't give a fuck about what's happening here.
It's
um
it's that they built the vault set, and like later on in the show when they find vault 4 or whatever, it's like, okay, so this is why they built the vault set, so they could go back to a different other vault. But
yeah,
I can't stop thinking about the fact that like the vaults are overused in the games. I think the vaults
yeah,
are overused in Fallout New Vegas, a game that I love. I think the vaults are
yeah.
universally overused.
There is one good vault in that game, and it's the one. Oh, that's not true. The plant one is fun
I think they're
the
all
first time and miserable every other time you have to go back there.
I think they're all really good. I think all of the vault concepts in New Vegas are really good and fun, but it's just like I'm sick of this shit. Why are we going to so many fucking vaults? Why does Vault-Tec have so many fucking vaults?
In this one area.
Yeah, but like I in the games where you start in a vault and then leave, there is a reason why you start in a vault and then leave. they're not interesting. I'm driven so fucking crazy by why on earth would they dedicate like a quarter of every single episode of the show to this story? Where again, I actually no, not again, because I haven't actually. I don't think I've said this in this pod yet, Leighton. We've just talked about it personally a couple of times. I I think the number one thing that just makes this show so far left of my brain, and I'm not saying this uniquely about me. Lots of people feel this way. I know you feel this way. It's just I I want I want dialogue in things to be characters just talking with each other about what they want and who they are and about things that they're interested in. And I had forgotten about that scene between Lucy and Maximus where they're talking about fucking, where that's like
Yeah.
one of the only scenes in the show that feels like this exists just for fun, because there's so
Yeah.
little in the show that exists just for fun, to get some ideas out, just to be like interesting and to be a scene instead of just plot beats being dispensed. Because I the show does so much that's strictly in service of getting plot out, even when that plot is tawdry and obvious and lame and boring. It's
Yeah.
all entirely all plot all the time. And so when we're spending time in the vault, one of the most like tedious, uninteresting, predictable series of reveals I can think of, it really is like you spent all that time on this. This is what you spent all this time on. And I also think another thing that I'm obsessed with is like the show is about this quest. Season one is about this quest for Lucy to bring the head to Moldaver so that she can get her dad back for unspecified reasons and in unspecified ways. And then the show doesn't even commit to being that journey happening. It's a Deus Ex Machina where they just accidentally like fall into a hole and they're in the vault where she is now. It's fucking crazy. Like for the show to be that entirely beholden to its belabored, laborious, uninteresting plot, and then not even commit to actually doing the plot, it still just like does a complete cheat to resolve the plot. It's like, what is any of this? What is the point of any of this? None of this works. And then
Yeah.
for it not to work on a thematic or tonal level either, I'm so confused.
The two scenes in the season that I like: one, when Cooper kills his buddy who's going feral as a
Great
mercy
scene.
killing. That's a
Yeah.
good scene. And if I seem to recall, they undercut it immediately with something stupid, but whatever. In isolation, fine. And the other one is just every time we cut back to Maximus hanging out in the vault in the bathrobe eating snacks and shit. I love
Yeah,
that because it's a character thing and we're watching this guy have fun.
there's something very fun about him being way more suspicious of the vault at first, and then for them to
Hold on,
that.
my
It's
only
cute.
headphone that I can hear out of just fell out of my ear because my dog sat on it. Hold on.
Oh, that's wonderful. God, that beast. Look how happy she is. Aw, licking your face.
She hates it. Okay, sorry. What were you saying?
uh
Maximus?
oh, right. It's fun to it's fun that Maximus is initially the most suspicious of the vault, and then it turns around and he ends up kind of loving it and luxuriating in it. That's a joke.
Yeah. Yeah. It
After
approaches
fashion.
one
Yeah.
more. Yeah. So there's other stuff about this show kind of going back to how wonderful the production design is and rat shit on the banquet feast, etc. The production design looks great. Wardrobe, props, whatever, looks great. The lighting is a fucking crime. It the like, because we're taking these objects that are in environments that are so faithful to the game. At least the video game has lighting and light sources that make sense because it's a 3D video game. Every single time they're sitting in front of a campfire and there is a flat red fill, this should not bother me this much, but it does. You have such beautiful shit that you made and it's all lit flat and nonsensically. None of these light sources make sense. These things are shaped and designed by talented artists, and they would look so much better if you didn't light everything like a fucking Amazon show. Like,
Yeah.
it's so visually uninteresting. I had no idea it was shot on film until I finished the season and looked it up because it looks so bad.
Yeah,
on
like
the cheap level.
the like anamorphic lens distortion and like the bokeh and everything, it's all completely real. Like they used incredibly expensive lenses and cameras. It just doesn't Doesn't really come together.
And the editing and how much of it is, I wish I had my car keys over here so I could jiggle them at the camera. So just imagine that I'm doing that, because like it's like what I said about cutting back to Cooper. And how many times do we see Maximus in the baby Maximus in the fridge getting saved by the Brotherhood of Steel? It just like has no respect for the viewer's intelligence, and it shouldn't. But I'd like to demand a little bit more from a TV show. And the
Well, and
music, the fucking Ramin Djawadi did the score. He is like the best TV score person right now. And I
I'm
remember
not
there's like, he did the Westworld
okay.
score.
Sure. Oh,
Um,
the Jonathan Nolan connection, I
yeah, yeah,
guess.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There is one bit, I think, when Maximus is first getting into the power armor where you hear score that is really, really cool. It cuts off to do a needle drop.
Awesome.
This is like,
I do remember that moment from like episode 3 or something.
yeah, it's like a cool kind of like techno swelling, like it's nice. This is a thing that I learned. I love radio mods in games. I love listening to the radio in games. I love my Pip-Boy. I've played 700 hours of Fallout, or maybe less than that, of Fallout 4, a game I basically don't like, but that I love playing.
I have played 100 hours of that game that I would say that I hate.
I'm like 600 in New Vegas, and I like having the radio on, but I realized that having the radio on completely alters your experience tonally, which is fine in Fallout 4 because I don't give a fuck about what's happening in that world. But for New Vegas, I realized that if I turn my radio off and I listen to the great score, much of which is carried over from the wonderful scores of 1 and 2, and the ambiance, and again, I have a lot of mods that like add sounds because, turning on hardcore mode, I want it to be hard. I'm not going to use fast travel. I want to be spooky and enjoy the environment and be immersed. And having the radio playing Mighty Mighty Man or whatever while I'm running around tonally destroys it. So the show is just being unable to turn the radio off. There's no moment that can breathe, that sits, that we can hear Jawadi go nuts on the score. It's just constant fucking bullshit. And
That is a very apt metaphor, yeah.
this is some of my favorite music. This is what I listen to, not just because of Fallout, because it's what I like. And oh, god damn, it's so obnoxious. And so that's it. Additionally feels like, what's the core tenet of Bethesda games? What's the thing that everybody tells you? You ignore the main quest because the main quest sucks, which is true. This show is like being railroaded into doing the main quest as a good guy.
It really is, yeah. And that makes that y'all shall get sidetracked by a bunch of bullshit. That does make that line even more annoying.
Yes, and also there's like a mystique in the good games to pre-war society, and I think some of the best little moments in the game, or at least like textural things in the game, come from the fact that this is 200 years after this society has died and people are finding things and misunderstanding them. It goes back to Canticle for Leibowitz, this monk order. Think Fallout shelters, they think Fallouts are demons, and so when it says Fallout capacity 15 on a shelter, they think there are 15 demons in there. And so that kind of like misunderstanding is interesting. And for people who haven't played 1 and 2, they don't do this retrofuturistic shit. If anything, there's some like 30s deco architecture. Other than that, the only instance I can find in that game, other than like there's an alien blaster that you can only get if you have this rare encounter, but like the blades, the gang, it's because they're in a building and there's like a nice little sign on it that says blades. Like, okay, yeah, cute.
Yeah.
But
it's
anyway,
it's in the intro. Like,
yeah, it's in the intro with the song.
It's like the background of the game. It's not present in the text itself. That's not the point.
And it makes those moments hit harder in the opening, especially the vault opening and them waving and then just getting chewed up by Enclave bullets. I love that. It's a great little moment. But there's a mystique to the pre-war society, and I think that the googiness and over-the-top retrofuturism that the series has leaned into in the latter-day Fallouts does like a big disservice to putting you in the mindset of, I am playing a character that is born 200 years after this and doesn't know what any of this shit is. And like the more they push it into this Jetsons shit, I mean, the fact that Fallout 4 starts pre-war, which is like fine, whatever. But like, I at least maintain a little mystique. And the way I'm bringing it back to the show is I do not want pre-war Cooper flashbacks. It's the only time that you realize it's shot on film. but I don't care about what's happening. Like, this is such an obvious character turn of like his wife and his daughter are somewhere else, totally cryogenically frozen. Um, and he's a good guy, and look how he ends up a really bad guy. Like, this is so uninteresting, and you're just getting out Vault Tech lore with these cartoonish villains with institute level justifications for why they are evil.
I also think like it is impossible. Like, we keep saying this, that like it's impossible to actually isolate the part of my brain that's bothered about changes to the lore. That's
Yeah.
But truly trying to just think about it on a pure story level. There's something just so frustrating to me about this is a worldwide incident. It happened to literally everyone on Earth. Most people on Earth died. It completely changed the course of history. And it all comes down to things that happen between like five people. Like, that
In
shit just
America.
drives me so fucking nuts. It's just the worst. When it's like Fallout has always fundamentally been about America. Like, I don't remember if like Tim Kaine said this or something, but like they had no interest in talking about what was happening in other countries because it is a
Yeah.
satire of
You wouldn't
America.
know.
Yeah. I think that doesn't fundamentally bother me, but it's just like the whole thing with Cooper being like he was the model for the Vault Boy, and
With the
then
suits in your colors.
yeah, and then also like he was present when they made the decision to bomb everybody, and then it all revolved around them, and it also revolved around Lucy's dad, and it was actually all shit that happened between like five people. It's like that's like the most tedious shit. How could that possibly
you're
be interesting?
you're the most important person who exists, which I guess that's true to Bethesda's general vibe.
Yeah,
You're
but
the Dragonborn, you're the Starborn, you're Lucy, and your dad is important.
like games is stupid. That's okay. It's
Games
like
is stupid. At least New Vegas is like, it doesn't do the sort of prescriptive thing that 4 does, where either you're the man who does the narration and was a soldier, or your mother who was a lawyer, I guess, but you still don't do the narration at the beginning.
yes, it's the fucking
Um,
worst.
but like you get railroaded into the type of character that you're going to be based on that, at least, in a mental role playing level. With New Vegas, like, you're just a guy who got shot in the head and you can go do whatever the fuck you want. You
And
end
like
up being important, but there's at least this sense of anonymity and nobody gives a shit about you.
that like it's a role-playing game. Like, it's just,
Fallout 4 is not a role playing game, and I say that very confidently because it is it? Is it?
it's so fucking annoying. Have you ever seen have you seen the thing where Emil said that one of the guys in the opening cutscene of Fallout 1 is Nate, the
Is Nate.
protagonist of Fallout 4? That's
Yeah.
so funny to me. And then having to like backpedal from it because he's seen committing a war crime in that scene. That whole thing is so funny. And Emil being like, I just wanted to share something I thought was exciting, and I got too excited. And it's like, Emil, I love you.
Mythos. It's also his thing about talking about like, yeah, you can write the great American novel, but we know that players are just going to rip pages out and make airplanes with them, and everybody gets hung up like, oh, he's comparing these games to the great American novel. And it's like, I understand what he's saying. I understand what he's trying to say, and he said it imperfectly, and you don't like the Bethesda games, and you ascribe all of the sins of them to this one man, because that's what we as humans, because war never changes, and we're going to pick a guy that we hate and put everything on his shoulders. He's the
Yeah,
new guy that they all hate. He's the new Todd. And like,
right.
whatever, I don't like the direction of the games either, but come on, guys,
And
be a human being for a second.
I do think that, like, listen, making it all craven and purely about capital is very bad. This is
Mm-hmm.
not how I feel in my heart of hearts. In my heart of hearts, I'm a fucking weeb who's mad at these games and hates them and is pissed all the time.
Yeah.
But truly, like, being a head writer for a project that fucking gigantic, you probably barely are actually writing anything at all. Like, it is such a thankless, like, producerial role of just having to wrangle a zillion people who are all writing. And someone like Todd Howard is doing so much thankless fucking production adjacent work of just having to wrangle a zillion people. They are, I can only assume. And listen, I've heard some things about how it might be like a lot of Todd Howard yes manning that led to
Yeah.
Starfield being the debacle that it is. But I mean it very genuinely when I say those products existing and being so successful and so popular just to me, it is just a straight line of these two must be extremely good at their jobs, which is frustrating because the products they made annoy me a lot. But it is like
Yeah.
they must be so fucking great at doing this.
Yeah, it's
And on a certain level, I really think the people who made the Fallout show must be extremely good at the shit that they do. They made such a successful adaptation that people love. Like, it's
yeah.
amazing to do that. I just can't stand
I
watching it. And the
yeah.
hours that I spent watching it felt like 100 hours. And it was some of the most, it's such a difficult experience to actually sit and watch some of those episodes, especially when they got really vault focused. I was like, this is an extra long episode. This is like when Lost would suddenly do like a 3-hour episode in the middle of season 4 when it was at like the height of its popularity.
Oh yeah, I was gonna bring up a thing from Lost when talking about the radio earlier, which is like, you know, they don't really have radio sources on the island. So the moment where Saeed and Hurley are sitting on the beach at the end of that one episode and he gets the radio working and it starts playing Glenn Miller Moonlight Serenade, that's such a great moment when I think about moments from Lost. Like that's up there for
It's
me.
so
And
moving.
because it's just this moment of like connection with humanity and a familiar thing after they've been stuck on this island for fucking ever. And like it's the same with the games. If they listened to the radio all the time and Lost, that moment would have no meaning. It has
Yeah.
meaning because they had to fix the radio and get that, and it's powerful.
Yeah.
And it's like getting power armor within the first 10 minutes of Fallout 4. When you play 1 and 2, getting the power armor is like a huge fucking deal because you have died 75 times in the time that you've been playing this game. It's
Yeah.
awful. They are so punishing if you're not used to that kind of game, which I'm not. That era of game rather. And so when you get the power armor, additionally, the coolest power armor has ever looked is the Enclave power armor in 2. It is never going to top that sprite in that game. It looks sick as fuck.
Yeah.
But you know, you're fighting a Deathclaw with a minigun and power armor immediately. I love the thing in games where you're really underpowered for a while. I don't like the way that things scale so hard and you're just an unstoppable killing machine immediately. And you're like, here's your power armor and your fusion core, go get more of them. And then
I also think that, so I do think that on like a design level, 4 is very smart to do the stuff that it does with power armor. Like, I think having it be a walking tank that requires fusion cores to function is 9 million times more interesting than the way it works in 3 in
yes,
New Vegas.
instead of just like it's armor but heavier.
Yeah, but I do think that there must be a lesson in Skyrim somewhere that like they learned from the experience of like that game is so massively popular and is so wildly accessible that it must have just planted something in their heads, because everyone has always hated all of that scaling difficulty stuff. Everyone has always been frustrated by that shit. Nobody talks about any video game more than they talk about Dark Souls and Elden Ring and shit. Like, everybody loves when things are hard and when they put up resistance and in an interesting and fun way. People love that shit. And so I'm so completely puzzled by it. Where when the initial E3 reveal presentation happened for Fallout 4, it just seemed like it was a presentation. And so when the actual game came out, and that really was like in the first 30 minutes doing the big fucking Deathclaw shootout, it's just like, what is this?
I'm so glad that I saved Mama Murphy from this Deathclaw because she's such an interesting and compelling character who I love having around my settlement complaining all day.
It definitely makes any sense and is well realized. I have to admit, though, big caveat on Fallout 4, that I have almost never engaged with any NPCs in it because they're all so completely unlikable and so thinly written that I do think that's a very ironic criticism of that game, that like Preston Garvey is so annoying, because I have interacted with Preston Garvey for like 45 seconds. I think that stuff is so unbearable that I have never gotten into it.
Every time that I've replayed it, I literally don't go to Concord, so I never meet him and don't have to deal with any of those people being on my settlement. I don't want anybody in Sanctuary, because even with mods, you cannot stop people from sleeping in your fucking bed. Spent like 50 hours making this crazy settlement and I can't get random settler number 24 out of my goddamn bed, even though I have mods that make it so it's my bed and you can't sleep in it. I have mods that let you lock your door and they just fucking materialize
They
and
just
sleep
do.
in my bed.
It's delightful. I also, for the record, for the sake of the audience, for context that they don't know, I have played tons and tons and tons of Fallout 76, a game I am a
This is true.
vociferous apologist for. I think that it is such a well directed and interesting game and is so successful at so many of the things that it does, even though it is an extremely tough game to recommend because it takes hours and hours and hours of sludge to actually find the fun
Yeah.
in it. I do think
Your
it's a
base
really
is
interesting
your
game.
base is awesome. Everybody was really impressed by your base.
Thanks. I worked really hard
Let
on
me shut up.
that.
I
I
that's what I like about Fallout 4. It's most of it is me playing Wasteland Animal Crossing because I have a
yeah,
billion mods and it looks beautiful and you just get to build stuff. And I like the loop. The introduction, like I love the
yes.
crafting in New
Uh-huh.
Vegas. Mostly because of the jury rigging perk, like it feels like a waste to me to ever not spec high into repair and then just make your big gun eat all of the shittier guns. That's deeply satisfying to me.
Yeah, good
And where
idea.
you're like, I need duct tape, electronic scraps, and metal scraps, and wonder glue so I can make weapon repair kits. And so you're looking for those items. I really like that in 4 and 76, it gives junk purpose that you can
Oh,
actually utilize.
that like resolves a part of the loop that's been a problem since like Daggerfall. It's so
Yeah.
smart. It's so well designed. It's awesome.
However, the fucking guns in the gun system that I can't believe they carried over into Starfield, having watched a good bit more of Starfield playing today, it's like, oh my God, they didn't change any of this. It's exactly the same, down to like the way the animations feel. Um, but just, a cool thing about a video game is you go kill somebody and there's like a special gun or a special sword that's really cool, and the fact that it's kind of like randomly assigned what the legendary stats are, and that it's like modified pipe pistol with scope, like everything has a super long name, none of them are cool. The thing that I was going to bring up, which is my biggest issue, is every time I play you get a 10 millimeter at the beginning of the game, and by the end of the game I am using the same 10 millimeter gun. There is no meaningful what, maybe I'll use Kellogg's pistol or whatever, but that's it. It's just like New Vegas gunplay is straight up bad. However, the people who worked on it are weirdo gun nuts, so at least there's some
the
juice to it. Plus, now I
game's
have a
the game's very lefty director is also a complete psycho gun nut. I love him so much, and yeah, it's like no, that all just came from a handful of people being obsessed with different types of fucking parabellum rounds and shit.
yeah, and with the mods that I have from people who are also gun nuts that add just like the most insane detailed animations, that stuff feels like modded New Vegas gunplay feels better than even modded Fallout 4 gunplay. Um, it's a frustrating thing, and you and I have both discussed how fun melee doing a melee playthrough of New Vegas is because it's more overpowered than anything else in the game.
And you are just like a tornado who flies into an area until
Yeah,
everything is dead.
you have an ability to just fucking hop halfway across the map and kill
Uh,
somebody with your fist and VATS, and it feels awesome. It feels really good if you can get
no,
through. You just go. If you can survive through the Cazador nest to pick up Love and Hate, that's gonna rock you through like most of the game until you get Punchy or the Superheated Saturnite Fist or whatever. Everybody, I highly recommend that you try that. Also, to step goodbye from the Gunrunner's Arsenal, which is the power fist that has shotgun shells in it. I usually give it to Veronica because I blow myself up too much if I wear it. Uh, anyway, melee in 4 is total ass. It feels horrible.
yeah, there must be mods that integrate Gunrunner's Arsenal into the game better, right? I had never thought about that until now because there
How
was
so? Where you don't get like 20 guns at the beginning of the game just for
well,
booting it up?
no, there was some kind of problem with the way that mod archives were able to work, the way that they were delivered in consoles, which made it so that everything that's related to Gunrunner's Arsenal needed to be a separate and distinct thing. So even though they could like seed them into the loot table, there was still like something special about a Gunrunner's Arsenal katana that was separate and apart from the way something could work in the base game. And so like that,
Yes, and you can't mod them because
yeah,
of that, which is deeply annoying. Yeah,
yeah,
they have not. I don't even think I have a mod that fixes it because I have. It always has the GRA after a gun, and it's like, well, this is great. I can't do anything to it now. Like I just have to
yeah.
party with it. So yeah, the thing, just kind of circling back around because we've been going for 2 hours now somehow. That
we got into the broader games tangent, which is just
which is
a
what I was
whole other
hoping.
reservoir of stuff to grouse on.
Yeah, which is what I was hoping to do, really, because like everyone's already said all these things about the Fallout show and been less even-handed than we were, which I would say is not much. Um, but like I think that it's so indicative of all these issues that I have with the trajectory of the franchise, and that like I hate post-apocalypse stuff. It completely, it's like high fantasy. It completely bounces off of me, mainly because if I was in a Walking Dead type situation, I'm out
Yeah,
immediately. Like
I'm
I'm just not
done.
going to do
Fuck
it.
this. Yeah,
I'm not doing it. So that the post-apocalypse doesn't appeal to me. What
same.
makes Fallout unique is that it is the post-apocalypse, where with new societies forming, war never changes, but the path of men walk do. The war, like people will always have conflict, and even with these new societies, we have the same problems that we had pre-war. That's interesting and fun, but the way that it changes is based on people's decisions and the culture and how it shapes them, and they shape it in return. Awesome. Post apocalypse, even the difference between 1 and 2, which is like 80 years, you see places go from little shacks to a full-blown city. I mean, look at New Reno, a location that I don't like and only like because the theme for New Reno sounds exactly like the theme for Basic Instinct, and I have mods that add the extra original tracks to New Vegas, so when you go into Freeside it starts playing, which,
That's that's so hyper niche. I need to go look up a video that compares
oh my
those
god.
two themes.
After this, I'll send it to you because it sounds the same. And also, when you find the crashed Highwayman with the 10 millimeter in it in New Vegas, it plays the overworld theme that you get once you get the Highwayman. It's
That's
cool.
so beautiful. Aw.
Mod authors, thank God. Where was I going with this?
Oh, and just like truly,
Post.
let me say again about lore that like in Fallout in New Vegas, when what's her name? Oh, I forget her name, but when you meet the Enclave remnants and the one woman says that she crashed a vertibird outside of Klamath and she's talking about the specific crashed vertibird from 2, it's like
It,
that stuff doesn't not work on me. It works on me
yeah,
like fucking crazy. You can do references and shit and I'll go fucking ham. But
yeah.
anyway, sorry.
It's Daisy Whitman,
Yeah.
and it's I think Tim Kaine said this, slash he was referring to like a tenet that they had in the Simpsons writers room, which is if you're going to make a pop culture reference, it needs to be funny to people who don't know the reference. Also a
Yeah, very well
good
put.
strong point there. um but like the post apocalypse is what is interesting to me. Immediate post apocalypse, I don't want it. But the way that like the Bethesda games and the show insist on keeping everything in the post-apocalypse, with what they're doing with New Vegas, like the same with like everyone's living in corrugated shacks and haven't moved skeletons, like whatever. Part of that is that it's a video game, I'll give it that grace. But like the trajectory that they're going in is with nuking Shady Sands. We don't want this to develop any further than the recognizable immediate Fallout thing, and
And
I really dislike that.
I just do not understand if they want it to be the recognizable Fallout thing. Why also insist on continually moving the timeline forward? Why not just set it earlier in the timeline?
Yeah,
It's
76 at
baffling
least
to me.
makes sense. It's like 50 years or whatever.
Yeah.
I
And it turns out, truly, Fallout 76, again, if we're going to talk about having problems with the lore, but still liking the thing, Fallout 76, the story is fucking inane. It doesn't make any sense. It's fine.
What, the
It's fine that it's
Scorched aren't
inane.
super compelling to you?
That everything, it turns out right after the nuclear war, everything is a fucking cartoon.
Well, they had to add it because you needed ghouls that shoot guns at you.
Yeah, god damn it. Yeah, I think, who was it recently? I think it was a former writer from Bethesda who said a thing about how like it's like the success of the series is contingent on the retrofuturism thing. That like he basically made the point that like that is the thing, and he was being kind of condescending in a way that I sort of like and relate to, where he was like he effectively made the point that there is nothing special about Fallout other than that. It was the operative thing that they need to keep doing because it is what makes the world distinct. And it's interesting because he's not fundamentally wrong, but it's like I don't know. That's like the call is coming from inside the house type of deal, where it's like you can choose other things that make the series good and distinct. But like
Yeah.
if you want to keep doing the retro futurist stuff, then like focus on that. Like why I'm so annoyed by all the shit that they've done. It's
Yeah. It's and I can't stress enough to people who have not played 1 or 2, that shit is not present, and 1 and 2 are more Fallouty than the Fallouts that have, because it's not, it's this whole trajectory. It's, I know everybody likes different things about something, but in terms of like what makes Fallout special and unique to me, the retrofuturism thing is just like paint. It's there. It's you know, Fallout has bottle caps and power armor and Vault Boy and Death Claws, so we have to have all of those things. When it's like, this is a game series that, at least when it's good, is deeply sincere about and interested in the way that humans operate and how they change their environment and how the environment changes them. Great. I love that. It's not post apocalypse immediately. Everyone's trying to kill each other, except now in the show it is.
yeah, like when you that is something that does really drive me crazy about some of the stuff from some of the modern games. It just in relativity to what made the originals good is like I there's something so sweet and so interesting about the setup of one being we live in a comical retro futurist vault. We have to go out through a cave full of monsters. But then once we
And
leave,
skeletons dressed in your outfit.
yeah. And then once you leave that place and get to Shady Sands, Aradesh and Tandy are just like humble, normal people who are living in a village. It's like, it's not a cartoon anymore. That's almost the entire point. That shit
Yeah.
drives me so nuts, man. It's so
And
weird.
I don't even love like the tribal beginning of 2, but I like it to a degree, because it's like, yeah, a new society, and it does it in Honest Hearts too, where like a new society would go through a tribal period, and it's interesting to have this character's perspective on things, especially because you constantly run into people who are like, get out of here, you tribal.
Yeah. Well, and like having to be the chosen one is what's exhausting and boring and bad about it. Like
But
doing,
honestly, it seems like it's arbitrary, especially if you do like the dumb character preset or whatever. It's like they're trying to get
yeah,
rid
you
of
can
you, so
fail
they
your
tell
way
you
through
you're
the
the chosen one.
trials. Yeah, I think that's funny. But I think that just like I think that's part of what makes New Vegas so successful is like being a random person who was just like lucked or opposite of lucked into this job. I think is like
Mhm.
a very elegant thing, and like for
Yeah.
them to continue doing you're from a vault and you're the center of reality and your
You're
son
looking for
was
your dad.
oh god, it's so tedious.
Yeah, I just like, you got shot in the head. You can decide whatever your character was prior to that point, and you can decide where they go from here.
Mhm.
That's It's a lot of like nice player freedom, and the fact that skills are totally removed and perks mean nothing. Every time I play Fallout 4, I always have like level up, level up, level up. You have 6 perks available, and it's like, well, I don't want to take any of these because none of them are good. Whereas like New Vegas or 1 and 2, those perks are going to make a huge difference in saving your ass.
Yeah.
And like allocating your skills matters. You're not supposed to, and you're not going to do literally everything. You're not going to pass every single check. You are just going to have to deal with what you have. And that like works for the setting. It makes it more interesting and makes it feel more rewarding.
Maybe and
And
that does also feel indicative of the broader direction to me is that when Fallout 3 came out as very very bad as I think its main quest is, it was a finite main quest, and when the game ended it had an ending, and they put out a DLC to let you keep playing it forever and max your character out so that you could have 100 in all skills. And it
yeah,
is just like that was right before Skyrim ended up being this like massive success that is like everyone's forever game in a way that I think is great. I love Skyrim, but
me
like
too.
it it's I don't know. I do think that at a certain point they need to stop pretending to be RPGs, and maybe people should also stop pretending that they're RPGs. This stuff is very frustrating to me. I
Yeah, and like Starfield almost got it with not having a voice protagonist, which is like such a good angle. Baldur's Gate 3 doesn't have a voice protagonist, and it has some of the best RPG writing that we've had in years.
yeah, and also like the dialogue system in Starfield is clearly going back to Fallout 3 and New Vegas. Like they're very explicitly doing that.
Yeah, and it just sucks. I mean, in Fallout 4, not even like one of the best things about the dialogue in New Vegas is there are so many skill and perk related checks that makes it interesting, especially like even with if you're a dumbass, if you set your stat, it doesn't have as much as an effect as it does in 1 and 2, where you literally can't talk to people. But being dumb, there are dumb checks, especially, there are a lot of them that are really funny, um, and like characterful. And you do get, I mean, like a perfect example is like if you have Black Widow, you can fuck Benny before you kill him, or fuck him and then let him live. That's
Yeah,
fantastic.
it's
It's
great. I
like
love being
weird.
able to. This is the
Go ahead.
first time lag has made us step on each other in a concrete and clear way. Sorry about that.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say that, like, I think going to what's Caesar's camp called? The fort.
Yeah, the fort.
Going to the fort to save Benny is such a fun thing to do, and there is no reward for it. It doesn't accomplish anything. It's just entirely a player-driven thing, just for funsies. It's so good
Yeah,
that games
and you
can
can
have that type
choose,
of thing.
if you're a man, you can fight him to death. You can put him on a cross if you want to. You can just straight up kill him, or you can let him go. And there's like cut content that mods restore where if you let him go, he comes and tracks you down and tries to kill you later.
That's
Um,
great.
and I love the character stuff that he has there, where he's just like, "Yep, you got me. I mean, like, it's your right to kill me. I realize that this is pretty fucking dumb." Um, and like the whole thing going to the fort feels like a dramatic thing. You have to go through Cottonwood Cove, especially if you're not friendly with Legion and you got the mark and you get on the raft and they take all your shit and you go there and like you start seeing the slaves, which are like unique emaciated models carrying a massive amount of stuff, and you start talking to the people and it's like, I want to kill everybody in this camp. And then
Yeah.
you go talk to Caesar, and like after everything that's built up, he's just like a foul-mouthed, like annoyed old man.
Yeah.
And then
Fucking asshole loser who's trying to hide the fact that he's dying.
yeah, stuff like that, or the fact that like with Arcade you can sell him into slavery to the Legion and he becomes his personal doctor until he kills himself. um you have choices in Fallout 4. Every, like, it's been said a million times, you have yes, no, no, parentheses, yes, and yes, sarcastic. Like,
Yeah.
I would almost rather them not give you dialogue choices in that game because
Yeah.
it's so meaningless. And I hate saying this, I hate both of the vocal performances. Because I always play a girl, I especially really don't like the lady Nora. And I think Nate's a little bit better, especially because he can at least kind of sell the sarcastic lines, which, like the show, it's like these are supposed to be jokes, but it feels like jokes written by an alien who doesn't know what comedy is.
Oh boy, I do not remember any of them.
Oh, they're bad. They are bad. The only good ones are like if you're a dick to Nick because he just roasts you in return, but it's more so because his dialogue is fun than it is that yours is fun.
And his vocal performance is so fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I love you, Bellathor / every other character in Skyrim. Somebody
Some
called
folks
it
might call
junk.
this junk.
Me, I call them treasures.
I fucking love that
Also,
guy so much. God bless
I
him.
think about it all the time. Far Harbor, the Fallout 4 DLC. Everybody's like, it's the good DLC. It's just like New Vegas.
It's an RPG now.
No, the fuck it isn't.
God.
It's so unbelievable. Like, I was so mad after hearing that for years, and then you get in there and you play Dima's Memories, like the worst. The Dima's Memories, I know it's like a meme at this point, but like it's up there with the Fade section in Dragon Age Origins. It's so fucking miserable.
I really need to play Dragon Age someday so I can follow you on walks about that one.
Yeah, it's honestly, I haven't played it since I first played it in like 2010 or whatever, but it remained like, I am not sure how it would go if I tried to play it again, but it was like the most formative RPG experience for me, and I think it fantastically does a ton of things that games trying to do this now aren't able to handle. Like, I started a new Cyberpunk playthrough last night because I want to play it on my XR glasses. Um and on Steam Deck where it looks great. I haven't tried the glasses yet. Anyway, but like, kind of speaking to like how difficult it is to do writing for games, especially a big project like that, and especially the stuff that you have to do in the opening bit of the game. The worst part of that game is Act 1. Act 1 sucks so bad, and you can tell that they had to push that out faster or harder or whatever, because the writing just instantly, like the moment you get into act 2 it gets so much better. But like, it's a lot of on railsiness. But the origin stories in that game are not great. I think the Corpo one is the best one, and the other two are absolute dog. And even the Corpo one isn't great. Just it makes more sense thematically, and you get more interesting dialogue options. And I've played all of them, okay? But Dragon Age Origins, it's called Origins for a reason. It does it very meaningfully, and there are like 6 different distinct origins where it's like most of the first act is you going through your own little story, and it has like it's so impressive the way they execute it. And then when I see games try to do it now, it's like, damn, Origins looks like shit. If you try to watch somebody play it looks awful.
Those BioWare games from that time, it's shocking how they look. It's wild.
And I'll defend 2. I actually really love 2, but that would bring into a whole other conversation. I love 1. I love 2. Dragon Age Inquisition is dog shit.
If only in brief, what is it that you're saying that Origins is doing so elegantly that games now would try to do?
Oh, I'm thinking about the way that it does the origin story premise of like you get to choose who your character is and you get to play it. It does what Cyberpunk does, giving you the Corpo Street Kid or Nomad background where you only do like a little bit of it. And I know people were mad because it didn't let you do more of the origin part. Dragon Age Origins, that's like the selling point of the game essentially, is that
interesting.
You play a really significant. Yeah, so like for example, you can choose to be an elf, and there are 2 different types you can be. You can be a Dalish elf or a city elf. City elf, like you're living in poverty, it sucks. There's like more ramifications, and then Dalish elf are like more nature aligned and all of that stuff. And so it's the same with like human and dwarf and all that stuff. So like it really makes a huge impact on what unfolds in the game later.
That's cool.
So yeah, the line I'm connecting here is that Cyberpunk tried to do it, and I get it. It doesn't need it to me. The Act 1 is really weak.
I also think that for me, especially when like gamers need. By the way, I fucked up so bad by having these Nuka-Cola bottle caps and all this other stuff here because like I've got this. We're also talking about something that stresses me out, where we're talking about a piece of media in a negative way. So I need to have a million fidgets, and so I've got these little mini magnets. Where then I've also got these Nuka-Cola bottle caps, and it turns out should the twain meet, they are attracted to one another. And so I've just been fucking with toys the whole time we've been on this fucking call.
Well, this is great. And this is so long, too. This is genuinely just us hanging out, which I love. And
I'm so happy.
To a great episode. But I'm thinking about Brian on the tour bus having to deal with this shit.
Oh, no.
And I feel like, do we split this in half or something? I don't know. Because like we should wrap it up.
Are the Fallout episodes a 4-parter? But,
that would be so mean to the audience. Maybe we do 2 and we hide it on the second season and we hide it on Patreon or something.
Maybe.
Because as much as I'd love to inundate the main feed with only you and I complaining about Fallout for several weeks, I'd love that. I don't think the listeners would.
The thing I was going to say about Cyberpunk is I think maybe a thing that I am trying to section myself off and understand that these are simply different parts of my brain. As I keep saying about Fallout 4, a game that I extremely strongly dislike, I also think it's massively successful at so much of what it does. And there's a reason it's such a giant hit game that they've released 8 versions of. Same thing with Cyberpunk, a game that I very strongly dislike, and which, like when I hear something about like how people hate that the different 3 intros aren't differentiated enough, my brain, I'm just like, well, duh. It's so much fucking work to make that type of thing. And people love the game for what it does successfully, in spite of the things that annoyed people about it. And yeah, I think that's ultimately how I feel about the show. That's why I'm not just trying to be political when I say like, it must just be a thing that doesn't work for me, because so many positive reviews and a bunch of writers whose work I really respect have written reviews of it where they have qualms, but really like it. And for me, there is no aspect other than the production design that is hitting for me most of the time when I watch the show. And so it's like, they did something right. People like it.
Yeah. I mean, it's ultimately like, you would hope that a video game adaptation TV show in an ideal world that the hardest core fans of a series would love the show. But we live in the real world, so obviously that doesn't happen. And I hate that I have to be in the camp that hates the show.
Yes.
Maybe this ultimately comes down to is I don't like what the show reveals about me in that
I
I hate it this much.
I forget if I have talked to you about this at all, Leighton. Have I talked to you at all about the Twisted Metal TV show?
No, you haven't actually. Starring your favorite guy, Will Arnett,
I got into it because it stars my favorite, Will Arnett.
but also Mike Mitchell, right?
I got into it because it stars Mike Mitchell from the Doughboys in a surprisingly meaty, tiny role. It's small, but then becomes bigger and bigger because everybody loves Mike Mitchell from Doughboys. Twisted Metal is a pandering, ridiculous adaptation of a post-apocalyptic video game that's very violent and seems to try to use violence as satire. And the show is so fucking dumb and it's so like obvious in what it's doing, and it's an actual comedy written by actual comedy writers that is so funny and so entertaining. It is complete nonsense, and for me it just like works like crazy. And I think that it's just like different parts of my brain where it's like I'm the type of poptimist where I can enjoy Twisted Metal because it's asinine bullshit and it's making me laugh and I'm enjoying watching it. And I think that just like the different things that the Fallout show needs to be in service of, it's so divided between all of them and none of them are hitting for me. And so many of the things that it's trying to do are so much better serviced elsewhere, including in the games it's so beholden to, that I think that as a product, it like confuses me more than anything else. I dislike it, but I am confused by it more strongly than disliking it.
This is why I wish it was a worse show, because the things that are always the most compelling to me and that I spend so much time thinking about and analyzing and ranting to myself in the car about, it's always stuff that has crazy potential and then squanders it. Like I think of Yellow Jackets, which I'm not even going to start on. But like the Fallout show, there's so much good stuff there and there's so much material that they could be pulling from. And it just feels like such a waste in a way that makes it so frustrating to watch. And as a massive diehard Fallout fan, especially is painful, not because I really care about the canon, but like you've made a fundamentally, by the core tenets that hold this series up, you've made a fundamentally different thing that is an empty product containing the symbols we expect of Fallout. And I love being lectured on capitalism, baby's first capitalism, by Amazon Studios.
I know. There's a lot of unfortunate trenchant ironies that are completely unaddressed. And
trenchant insight.
Will it go the way of every other Amazon Studios show where as it gets more and more successful, they also fraction the budget off into tiny chunks of what it originally was? I don't know what the budget breakdown looks like for season 2. I haven't heard any goss about it, but we'll see how season 3 comes out looking.
Man, and we didn't even get into the Fallout Halloween Horror Nights house, but I think our experience in that, or at least my experience of it, really does echo the issues I have here. I was the most excited for that house, and it was easily hands down the worst. Not only that year, but every year I've ever been, that is the worst house I've been to, which is so
fucking
sad.
Brutal. Yeah.
I think about it partially because I rewatched this the other day, but Jenny Nicholson's 4-hour Star Wars hotel review, where it's like, here's a person coming into this who loves this and wants to grant you the maximum amount of grace possible. You could not find a better customer who wants to love this, and you've delivered absolute shit. You fucked this so bad. And I think in my heart of hearts, I so badly want to love the show, and you're forcing me to be an angry Redditor about this, and I don't like it. I don't want to be that guy. Unfortunately, I am extremely that guy.
I mean, this is a very genuine, open-ended thing. I'm being very sincere here, trying to go back to that strain of poptimism. I do think that first season is such a germ. There is like nothing to it. That like, there's a lot of criticism I've heard of season 2. I think people were more down on season 2 than they were on season 1. maybe as it's speciating into something more specific, maybe some of these things that frustrate us will move out of just being like little husks of ideas. Maybe they'll actually fill it in with some specifics.
Yeah, it's things that have something for everyone. I often experience feeling like there is nothing for no one.
Yeah.
So maybe people not liking season 2 as much means that my contrarian ass will be like, oh wow, they actually did something interesting.
So you and Brian liked it much more than I did, but still, all three of us like Joker Folia Doom more than we like Joker.
Yeah, so true. Additionally, you said before we got on here that you were going to tie this into like discussion of other like comparisons to Prestige TV or something.
Oh yeah. Oh my goodness, Leighton, do we have time to talk about this?
No, let's save it, because if we do another one of these, which I'd very much like to do, but I already know I'm going to tell Brian this is 2 hours and 18 minutes and he's going to want to throttle both of us.
He's not going to be happy. We love you, Brian.
Yeah. Sorry, buddy. Everybody, thank you for listening to this. Do you want to hear more of this? I had a great time.
I know.
I'm constantly gagging myself to not talk about Fallout on the show because I don't have anybody I can really get into Fallout with except for you, basically. So this is a treat, everybody.
I know. And it's tough because it's a treat for us. We're having so much fun, but we're also being intensely negative about something people might have liked.
Yeah.
Sorry, everyone.
Look, everybody, in recompense, you can go into the comments and make fun of something that I really like if it makes you feel better. The thing is that I'm not going to read it, though, because I don't read anything. But psychically, if you want to get one over on me, I encourage you to do so.
So what I've been doing is I've been making it into a little pyramid over and over, and it's like sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad, and it's sort of fun to like get closer and further away every time.
It looks so yummy. They look like nonpareils or whatever.
Oh, the container it comes in is just a big sticker that says not to eat it.
I don't know about it. I think maybe I should eat it because hold it up again. It looks yummy.
It really, nonpareils is the exact reference point. That's exactly what it looks like. Can I do
what
it?
Is it? Is it like held together by slime?
No, it's magnetic. It's completely dry.
Oh my god, I want this so bad, but I know my dog would eat it.
Oh yeah, no. Animals are fucked.
I've been kind of messing with my fidget spinner just because you're here.
Yeah, that's a good one.
This is my Dream Daddy era fidget spinner. I've had it this whole time.
Oh God. I was looking for a specific Discord message I remembered the other day, and I found the message where I was talking about, like in an unrelated to Dream Daddy friend group, I was talking about how the Dream Daddy office was obsessed with fidget spinners, and it was like, ah,
it was a simpler time.
Yeah.
Well, that's Fallout discussion. Let us know if you want more. This has been Leighton Gray and Jory Griffis without Brian Wecht, having a wonderful time. And now I'm going to get off of this call and I'm going to go play Cyberpunk 2077.
I'm going to probably watch bullshit on YouTube. No, I'm going to commit to something cooler than that. And it's going to be...
Leighton Night is produced by Brian Wecht and Leighton Gray. Sign up for our Patreon at patreon.com/Leighton Night. Follow us on Twitter at Leighton Night, on Instagram at Leighton_Night, or email us at leightonnight@gmail.com.